everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, this is into the wrong browser. Beep, boop. I come to us talking about After the Bomb again.
After the Bomb and Friends.
Yes. Put the head on. Sonat, you have to turn these off, by the way.
Yeah.
Here's the head, though. Hello, Sayo. Hello, everyone. Oh, a Boopy Bear Ant. Oh, I think I know who that is. Once either. Wait, what was this? Compliment, threat, yeet, or surprise me. Okay, I will yeet you. You can't see it because the ant is small. And Sandert, what do you want to compliment about? It's not too early, so I'm good doing this, but then I would like my redeems off for today, please. Anything. Okay. You have cute feet.
Oh no.
You set me up for that one. You've set me up for that one, Sandert. You can't complain. You said anything. You said anything. Oh, now we are backpedaling, are we, huh? Huh? You showed me them feetsies. Unprompted, I might add.
Unprompted. That's the most important part, yes.
No. So I'm proud of you for taking better care of yourself by going to bed at a reasonable time and so on. Yeah, of course that was done in private. What do you think these things work, huh? No. I'm pulling your legs, your many legs. No.
Your feet.
You're taking charge and of your life and going to bed at a reasonable time and taking care of yourself, and that's good, and that's nice of you to do for yourself, honestly.
It is very good to do. Like, who's going to do it? You're going to do it, and you're going to do great at it.
I think that's all the redeems we had before they were turned off. Yes. Okay. Well, Drake.
There's a bunch of images that we can use as backdrops. Whoops,
that's
AVIF file.
I think I can open that in my browser. It should be okay.
Oh, I already deleted it.
Oh, well, then I can't.
Well,
it's tiny. Okay, we have to zoom in on that when we get to. Do it. I have a hiccup now. What the hell? And these are all just like games, like
yeah.
These are just examples of like actual games or TTRPGs. Or in Fallout's case, well, both, several of both.
Yep. And that was a fake Super Nintendo Fallout.
God, imagine though. That would be great. Yeah. I like this. I always like this ghoul. He seems to be vibing.
Yeah.
I
like that cover the most.
No. And we have D20 Apocalypse, where you can ride a bat mount thing, or be a centaur cyborg, the minigun for an arm. What's not to like, huh?
Yeah, what's not to like?
Yeah. And then we have Apocalypse World.
Yeah. Which the cover is very evocative. That's from their second edition cover.
This is quite evocative. I think it's stinky in there.
It's very stinky in there.
Yes, and it's true. After the Bomb is older than Warhammer, I believe, 40k, I believe, yes. Not necessarily fantasy, but 40k. And the aesthetic of Big Stompy Robot has, I think, technically been invented even before then by many other people.
Yes.
But yeah, Palladium was surely before them too, yeah. So since it's a Palladium game.
Like, technically Palladium was the one that was grabbing the Big Stompy Robot the hardest first with regards to TTRPGs. Now, when I say the hardest, I mean, yes, I'm sure we can find an example of somebody who had one Big Stompy Robot in their miniatures game, but they grabbed it hard. So.
Like I still enjoy about this cover how hard they are going. Like, you're playing mutants in this game. Let's put the bad guys shooting down a bunch of mutants on the cover of our book.
Yep, exactly.
Like, just annihilated like Raphael down here. Master Splinter has a spear. It's gonna stab a dude if he can. And I don't know who the bird is in this story, because I don't think there was a bird guy in Turtles, but you know,
I think there was.
But yeah. Drake, what is your basic take on this idea of, okay, why do so many people rather like post-apocalypse fiction, and thus by extension TTRPGs that are set in that time?
The big thing is it eliminates all of the crap. Because one of the biggest problems is when somebody goes and sits down and writes their new magnum opus set in, I don't know, 1980s Berlin, there's a lot of crap that they need to do. A lot of stuff they have to research. There's going to be a lot of characters. There's going to be a lot of drama. There's going to be a lot of things and stuff. But when you have an apocalypse happen, 1% of the human race is left. Still, that's a lot of people. But if 99% of your neighbors vanish tomorrow, your town would look very different. And as such, things would be simplified. And I think people really revel in that simplification.
Yeah, and I think that is actually a big reason, yes, for sure.
And with that simplification means I will tell whatever story I damn well feel like. And I understand that freedom very intimately, because most of the time when people sit down and like want to publish their awesome novel, as I've known multiple people to do, they run into the stopgap of a publisher going, but why? And they just keep getting that question, but why? It's the famous actor gif going, but why? And the thing is that when it comes to the apocalypse, you stop asking that question. But why do they attack each other? Oh, because they wanted their resources. It becomes the most basic, simplified stories that you can possibly tell. And so many people love that.
Yeah, and obviously you can tell this story about resources in a larger scale, but then it's not really a TTRPG game kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's more personal.
Yes, and like, I think a big draw, like certainly a big draw for an author is being like, okay, if I make up my future, like let's say I'm setting my book 100 years in the future, then I firstly I accept that immediately everything I write about the past that I don't know what will happen is wrong. So the idea of, okay, I'll just write in 2024 the nukes fell, and then like 50 years later the first people came to the surface again, and so yeah, sure, this is an alternate history, but who cares? Or even better, we don't know what happened. We don't know why the nukes fell. We don't even know when it really happened. It's not easy to survive in a bunker for 100 years. No one really kept track of the calendar at some point, because you don't care what time of year it is. So yeah, we don't know how many years have passed. We just know it's livable out there again. We can go maybe. Right? And then immediately for a player, I think I said this to you before we started. Like I don't know what you do for a job, but today I had to juggle Excel files for 5 hours.
Exactly.
And copy paste data in between them and make sure stuff's accurate. And there's just a nice simplicity in imagining not having to do that. It's the same kind of fantasy that you have of, it would be cool if I was in a fantasy game and I had a magic sword and I was a cool magic knight guy. I want to play that person. The same thing is, well, if the apocalypse happened, what would I do? Is an interesting question, because many of such games, quite a few, tell you, hey, you can play yourself if you want, kind of like sometimes, depending on the apocalypse, of course.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that's almost more true, though, for the, well, actually Awaken to a Different Reality games. than Apocalypse. So Apocalypse also does it, like in a zombie game specifically. They like to write that.
Like, I had one friend mention that sometimes post-apocalyptic fiction is written to be a backdoor isekai.
Oh yeah,
because you're literally in this new world now because like you were in the cryogenic chamber for 120 years or whatever.
Like I just dropped the term just as you say it. Yes, it is going to a different world without the truck coon running you over. Yes,
exactly without the Kuma running you over. Yep.
No, not the Kuma, truck coon. Oh my god. Oh, thank you, Hatta. Thank you so much.
And I call them backdoor isekais because it's supposed to not be all the trappings that you would normally associate with the concept of an isekai, but more of a, oh shit happened. Kind of like, what is it? Idiocracy was one of those examples. Because that's technically also one, because the world has gone to shit. And we have this fascination with the idea, like that's a good example of, oh, I came to the future and I'm the smartest man alive and I get to fix everything, right?
Yes.
Which that captures a lot of the isekai fantasy, and that gets tied up a lot in a lot of the post-apocalyptic stuff. Like Underrail's a good example of everything's a piece of shit and you're the variable nobody expected.
I'm clicking between this to point out, like, usually in these, they also immediately make clear, okay, you are the person with the gun.
Yes.
And then there's like the enemy. In this case, okay, we aren't sure who is who here, but this guy's got a grenade and these guys have guns, so this is like less clear. Underrail is very gray in its morality anyway. But then we have like the 20 purpose, so the clear protagonists are all supposed, like, she has a minigun, she has a bike. And this I guess she's a mage of some description, because it's D&D, we still have that, of course.
Yep.
And here, well, this guy's just having a time.
Yep.
It's also...
He's just a blopper having a good time.
Yeah. Oh, God. Leave, they never return.
And then I gave you one more, which is supposed to really tie it off.
If you say that word again, I'm going to close this browser window. That's terrible.
Can't help it. I had to say it at least once. But yes, there's a clear fantasy here, and that's why it overlaps with fantasy stuff so often, is because you are intending it to be some sort of creative fantasy, some sort of escape, etc., despite the fact that everything is a piece of shit. That's why when you look at things like The Walking Dead, that the comic book and the show aren't much of a fantasy. It's pretty fucking grim. So that's on the, I don't know what to call it other than the noir side of post-apocalyptic stuff, because it's just like, no, everything's dark and nobody's going to win. Everybody's going to die.
Yeah.
But most of the stuff that we're talking about here, there's some sort of upside. There's some sort of, I don't know, man shooting falcon with laser gun. There's something going on.
Yeah,
that
like usually
means something.
These games cannot. Okay, no, there's a few distinct types. I would say usually in a zombie apocalypse game, specifically those.
Oh yeah.
You tend to have the survival of like establishing yourself in some sort of situation that can last for a bit. And then those games kind of fall apart because there's not really anything to be done.
Yeah, there's no end. There's no real satisfying end game or end result.
Because while a computer game is very good at keeping you busy with, oh, we need more corn for the furnace. A TTRPG is kind of, I'm gonna go farming again. Do I have to roll farming? I guess we should do something else at this point if we're this established that our greatest issue that we might face is that the crop fails. It's not really a survival situation anymore, not really a personal apocalypse anymore.
No, it's not at that point.
But that's also the only one that really happens in the here and now that I can readily think of. Like, there's other stuff you could set, like, oh, the aliens are attacking or something like that, which would be a similar vein.
Oh, yeah. Because the how it happened is always a strong indicator of what direction you're going to go with the tone.
Yep.
Like the D20 Apocalypse expansion book was an expansion for D20 Modern, where it was like, why don't you pick what kind of apocalypse happened?
Yeah,
Why don't you combine them? Why don't you have fun with it?
Yeah, and my point with it, but being zombie kind of being the one that falters, is that in every other one, there's stuff for you to get. And I know the zombie apocalypse also has stuff for you to get, but it's all the stuff you already know. We need Twinkies to eat, and we need a car, and we need this and that, and some guns and so on. And sure, that's all important, and you need it. But there's doesn't hold a candle to, hey, we can go to the old vault and grab a power armor suit.
Yes, exactly. Because that's the big thing with the zombie apocalypse, is that what is the central thing that you're doing? I'm getting stuff. Why? So I can kill the zombies, and then you have enough food to eat so I can kill more zombies. That's it. That's the cycle.
Yeah.
But when you have a genuine, we're going to a dungeon, we're going to a old vault, we're going to this town that looks relatively intact 80 years later, and we don't know why. There's mystery, there's stuff, there's drama, there's intrigue, there's, oh goodness, these people are still alive, but they look dead. There's stuff to uncover with regards to that.
Yeah.
That's why, like, even a bad rendering, as like so many elements of the Fallout TV show were bad, it was still enjoyable despite it being bad. And that's one of the big reasons why post-apocalyptic stuff just drags me back in, especially over and over again.
Yeah,
because it can be bad, but it's still enjoyable.
True. Like, there's just a visceral niceness to getting a new toy to play with.
Yes, exactly.
This is why, again, most, if not nearly all, apocalypses tend to feature the future and tend to feature some sort of future tech, which realistically wouldn't exist if most people die, because you have to maintain that shit to a high degree. And do you know the Walking Dead pitch story? Asks Senna. I don't. I also want to go over some chat stuff before we dive deeper. Let's see. We have some good stuff to say. An angle to maybe Grimbright. Yeah, we could talk Grimbright a little bit, Michaels. Not the main topic today, though. And yes, she has a minigun arm, so it's true. But it could be, it could be that she's reaching in there. No, actually, no. There's no arm. There's no way. A full arm does not fit in there. Why not all apocalypses happen all at the same time? Oh, that's Catechism Doctor says Waggles. Yes, that game is just like, there's a kitchen sink approach, and I don't mind it.
I don't mind it either.
And then I just thought of a fun apocalypse after the bomb. Passenger pigeon winter. They brought them back, and they grew so numerous. They blotted out the sun for years. Oh no! Oh no!
Oh, that's funny, but oh no.
Yeah. I think also that the idea of an immediate apocalypse is harder to grasp, because then you're confronted with the way more with the tragedy of it, which is again why you say Walking Dead. That's not really much of a power fantasy or fantasy. It's mostly just miserable.
Yes, that's miserable.
Because that's what it would be. But if you are like, we are 100 years removed from when it happened, the zombies are mostly dead. There's still some of them around, but they're just rotted away. And if there's no meat, there's no movement. Turns out the skeletons were not to blame. Then looting stuff that's still around is cool and fun. And finding all sorts of weird places to be and whatnot. Yeah. And it also just gives you, and that's basically the thing why it's so popular for games, or one of them. All those ruins are basically dungeons, obviously.
Yes.
And the magic items are, well, we have to establish that your base item is maybe a 50-year-old breech-loaded shotgun and a spear, and then everything you find in that dungeon, it's even just, it's a 6-shooter revolver. Awesome, amazing. I can shoot more than once in a combat.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why I think one of the most important litmus tests of a good survival game or apocalypse game is having that loot and having exploration mechanics built in. If they don't, then on average, I think they're worse games.
Yep, that's basically it in a nutshell. The more you have about exploration and properly having mechanics and things and stuff with regards to exploration, your stats, your skills, like the stuff you acquire to make certain aspects of it easier, the more you do that, yes, it has a lot in common with OSR stuff as a result. But that's part of why people played OSR was, there's a big forest here now, where there wasn't one before 20 years ago, before the apocalypse. Let's go explore it.
Yeah.
What happened here? Are there big mutant caribou? Like, what's going on here?
Man, I would eat a big mutant caribou.
Exactly. And that's another part of it. You were talking about, oh God, I have to mess with Excel spreadsheets for 8 hours straight.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like the another part of the power fantasy is, wow, I don't have to do that. I just have to go and hunt these 3 squirrels and then my day is done. Like, some people think, but that's lazy. No, that's a power fantasy into itself, that you get to go and do that, and that it will be not necessarily thrilling, but you'll feed yourself, all that stuff, because we can't do that right now. We can't walk outside our door and go hunt squirrels. It's a different kind of power fantasy.
Yeah. And again, like just the idea of all the ideas that have been bouncing around chat here, to all of which I say, yeah, that could happen in a post-apocalypse game. I could write that mutated rhino. Wink, wink. I could, like everything and anything could happen, because the apocalypse gives you carte blanche to say whatever you want. And then also, so that's a good story. He just straight up lied to them about making it an alien story later. It's great. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
You should have kept that lie going forever. I know it's 55 issues, but the alien's going to show up soon. They're going to start dropping some hints. It's going to be really subtle. Like, they have already been so subtle hints that you just don't know. But in retrospect, it's going to be so obvious. And then let's do 50 more issues without aliens. Perfect. Love it. Yeah, sometimes you just have to lie to people with no imagination.
You really do sometimes. You really, really do. Especially publishers and editors.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they're publishers and editors and not writers. Yep. And to that also, Robert Kirkman is behind Invincible and doing the best evil Superman. So,
Anger Keen, thank you for the follow. I always said that right. Thank you. Hello. Yeah.
But
so that's us yapping about that for a little bit. Do we want to guide this more? Do we just want to keep going? What's the plan?
Keep going. I want to respond to Ataraxian though. Yes, I get it. You could go outside your home and kill squirrels right now yourself. But my point is that then in this future society, in the post-apocalypse, nobody's going to tell you no, because it would be silly to tell you no, don't go hunt squirrels. That's also part of the power fantasy. Nobody's here to tell me no.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big things, like having that thing removed that makes us not do the thing that we want to do, and then you make the choice to be a good person while your neighbor decides, oh cool, I can be a cannibal now. And then you deal with that. Like, that's all baked into it.
Oh no, not a cannibal.
No.
If we're actually going to next week, we're going to discuss Lister Critters, which is more or less a play a mutated little guy system. That could be very useful for that.
Yep. And that verges into what I like to refer to is kind of cartoony apocalypse stuff, which is its own thing, where sure, have all the things happen, which is very Gamma World brained.
Yeah.
Because Gamma World at its core is what if somebody thinks of after the bomb, they think, oh, that's the game for furries. Gamma World, sure, we've got that, but we've also got mutated plants and this and that and fungi that fly around and shoot radiation
what you
from their
like
one
to
eye.
claim is a sentient swarm of tiny yetis.
Yes, exactly. And that's important that there's all these different levels of all of this, of course. Like, a lot of people say, well, Fallout's ridiculous with the super mutants and the ghouls. It's really tame, honestly, compared to how most people do this.
I feel like Fallout is a very... go back to the Fallout thing. Fallout is a very good example of a game that gets a lot out of a very few premises.
Yes.
They just do a strong aesthetic off of saying, well, we never invented the circuit, so everything is vacuum tubes and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think the more they go into the future, the less that works. But it was certainly very good for the early games. And then everything weird and mutated isn't just radiation; it's FEV plus radiation.
Yep, exactly.
If you don't know what FEV is at this point, I don't know what to tell you, except it's stuff. It's a green stuff that you fall into, and then you become a big guy.
Yeah, from the movie, stuff. Yep.
And I think ultimately the apocalypse I tend to like the most are those kinds where it's like, well, we have the humans did an oopsie and then other bad things happen, but it's all like can trace it all back to one or two sources. The idea of the kitchen sink game where everything happened all at once is interesting, but I think it's very hard to pull that off without it feeling like arbitrary.
Yes, exactly. The only way to make it work, in my opinion, is if you lean so hard into it that you fall off the couch.
Yeah.
Because either like Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead is a perfect example of this, where they just go all the way with it. Oh, cool! I encountered the weird things that infect human bodies and turn them into zombies, and then I got shot by a gamma ray laser, and now I'm dead. Like they go all the way, and then the fact that they're willing to own that they're going all the way makes it work.
Yes.
Whereas we flip around, we go to Fallout. There's just a handful of premises. That's the most grounded you can get with this, and this is why people are drawn to post-apocalyptic fiction because there's only a few assumptions you need to make.
Like I don't actually know if there is meta plot to Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead, but I always felt like the meta plot is humans were kind of invisible to everything else happening that happened outside there, but then the government, not the government, they did some sort of experiment that sent out a big beacon, and now they are all aware and coming here all at once, and it's obviously the end because the zombies are the least of our problems.
I love that. I love that premise that you just mentioned. That's like taking something like that's just very simply written, like what's it called? The silly Netflix series with the psychic little girl. Stranger Things.
Yes.
That's like taking Stranger Things to its logical conclusion where, oh crap, everything happened all at once because, we opened this portal to this other world. Then it's more fun for me rather than being so tightly constrained.
It would have been nice if Stranger Things had stayed good.
Yeah.
No cap. No problem if you liked it, but I think after season 1 was kind of mid.
Yeah, it was. It was, and there were so many missed opportunities, especially with the Russian stuff. So many missed opportunities. And there was a little bit too much, let's do 1980s nostalgia that, strangled it after a certain point. That's okay, I'm going to make a direct comparison here. There's the nostalgia for the 1980s, and I enjoy that stuff, but there's a certain point where you doing that strangles the premise of your show. Whereas in Fallout, it never strangles it for a second.
Yeah.
And it hyper accelerates it, honestly.
It does, and it's great.
Mm-hmm.
Wagons, you can, if you want. I don't think that game's story is super like integral in for Cataclysm. So if you want to spoil it, go ahead.
It's not like somebody plays it for that; they play it for the adventure.
Like if you are a person who organically wants to find out the story of Cataclysm, I'm a very small amount of people have probably. But yeah. What are we? So Capt. Kinda. What was I gonna say? The thing that's animating the human corpse in the zombies isn't even a aware being. It's a mega organism's immune system at best. Yes, I know. It's the black stuff. It's the black stuff.
Yeah. It's super, super miserable in that we're that insignificant. Yes.
That's why that setting ultimately might have some hope to it if we can destroy all the mushrooms, because they aren't really. It's like, oh, everyone's come over because something weird happened here, and then they're gonna probably leave at some point because there's just a bunch of boring humans here.
We're just boring enough for the aliens to leave. I like that because that's the antithesis to the Mass Effect series, where in Mass Effect, humans are so interesting, we're going to use them as our breeding solution, whereas Cataclysm Darkness is the opposite. We better move now.
Yeah, that's one of my less favorite things about Mass Effect is that humans play too much of a role in it.
Oh, I hate that so much. It would have been so much better if it was just like humans, silly evolved apes.
Like having it from a human perspective makes sense, especially for the first game. But yeah, it's too human-centric. Humans are too important for no good reason.
Yeah.
Invasion is just a minute and a minute. Exactly, Wagons, yeah.
So for that mega organism, it was Tuesday.
So let's kind of jump into the questions that I had about this.
Yes.
Which are more about the game design, maybe, or making a good, or recognizing / making a good apocalypse game.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about high lethality in these games? Okay, as compared to other games that might have this feature.
Well, with other games, I've noticed that it depends on like your level of quote unquote skin in the game, like how attached you could become to your character. And in a lot of games that have some survival elements, that's kind of lacking usually, because it's just like I'll just roll another Bob human fighter level 1 in some cases. But then there's other very similar fantasy games where it's like, no, I put all this love and work and care into this character, yada yada. I think that the high lethality does serve the settings quite well, honestly, usually. It's just that it depends on the level of how much can my survival cleverness get me out of not being instantly killed.
That is so important.
And if we can't map that onto the game, then it fails.
Yes,
but if we can, then it's great.
Yep, I agree. Because I think outside of, like, again, the end of the world is happening outside the window, survive, go game, that should obviously just have a high lethality. And then maybe a way to rejoin characters into it on the fly, which usually doesn't make for deep roleplay, but can be fun. Let's see how far we can get with the originals kind of vibe. But I think for other games, like in this style, kind of have to remember that these people have already survived in this world for as long as they've been alive, usually.
Yep.
so they wouldn't be incompetent about it.
Yeah.
And so I actually think that these games should be high risk, but not necessarily high lethality. Like, you can just not take the risk and subsist in your little corner. But that is not what makes an interesting game. So that's why you have a safe space, be it your vault or your village or whatever, where you generally are, well, maybe not, totally safe, but kind of safe. But if you want to have the cool things and want to maybe help the village do stuff, well, you better get out there and do some looting or do some whatever we need. And I think that's really a good sign if a game has that.
Oh yeah. I have a deep philosophy of nothing risked, nothing gained with regards to how I run games. And that's why apocalypse games are so appealing, is because, of course, then we went to the highly risky to go into Vault that has death robots in it. But we came out with, I don't know, super fertilizer so that we'll have bumper crops for 5 years. Like, that's important to have that set up in games like this. Otherwise, you go into Misery Town and you have The Walking Dead, where you risked everybody, 3 people died, and all you got were these stupid batteries. Like, that's the difference, and it's so hard to set that tone by yourself. So as a result, the game needs to hold your hand at least a little bit for the GM to be like, hey, this is what you should be doing, and this is how you can get those outcomes. But yeah, like it's so important that you have that also, like city building or utilizing a bastion system, if I may, is much more as opposed to an apocalyptic game than a fantasy game.
Do I search for an intermission picture and we talk about the game D&D stuff for a bit now? Because we dropped the name.
That was the segue.
Okay. Let's see what we can find. Film. It's not quite what I want. Wait. Please ignore all the NFSW results that come up when I type.
Here we go.
This is pretty good, but also. Oh yeah, perfect. Yes.
The perfect one.
We interrupt the regularly scheduled broadcast of apocalypse games to talk about D&D and its 505 and its Game Master's Guide that recently came out.
Yes.
Did you know that it now actually has some tips for Game Masters in it?
What?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
It turns out, if your last book is really bad, it's not hard to make a better one 15 years later, or 10 years, or whatever it is.
What the heck? Like, damn, it must be really good if it took them another 10 years.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if you have ever peeked your nose into the Game Master's Guide for D&D, folks, but it's in the 5e Game Master's Guide is about 3/4 useless. And stuff that could have been in the player's handbook, or maybe even should have been in there. And 1/4 magic items without rules for creating your own.
Yeah, no rules. None. And if you ever want to run a game where you want to price these things, no guidelines really, except for very general ones that make no sense.
Yeah, good luck pricing them.
Yep.
I've genuinely come across game masters who think that potions should cost the same money as magic items because they have the same rarities. And I can't even say that's wrong because the game just doesn't tell you. Well, in the new Game Master's Guide, you still don't get money for items, I don't think.
Nope.
But what you do get for the players is a bastion system. What's that? Yeah. I ask myself incredulously. Well, it's like you having your own little place as a player where you have a thing, and it's like the DM can't mess with it. They say. And what is it? Well, it's like it's dailies for D&D. It's D&D dailies.
It's D&D dailies at your garrison in Warlords of Draenor.
It's legitimately the same thing. They're introducing this to put it online. I swear.
Yeah, they are.
I fucking swear. They want to put may give you a reason to log into D&D Beyond more. Because what you can do, like, you can have like what was it? What was the example? If you have a certain type of bastion, you can have like a muscle room. There's a bunch of buff dudes in there that train, and it gives you +1 to strength. Asterisk subject to level 20, the max still being 20. Asterisk over, and then it can. Then sometimes if you roll bad, but you roll, not the DM. It's important. You roll those dice. Those guys can strike and demand more money or something.
Yep. That's one of the most important things of the system that they wanted to make sure they put in, is that you roll for your own mishaps, and then you have to deal with them while you are off trying to kill Vecna or something.
I didn't dangle the muscle room anywhere, so that they did.
They did.
Yeah. But it's also important that we point out that you only get like your turns and stuff if you are there to manage it. If you aren't there to manage it, all those people basically just go into a holding pattern and do nothing.
Yep.
But there might be a random event that they, I guess, solve or not. You just roll some dice, basically.
Yep.
And then you can decide if you have a theater or a herb garden for your wizard's tower, and if it's a poison herb garden or not.
Yep.
So, to this I say, fuck you, Wizards of the Coast.
Yep.
All of that is already in the game by you having a game master who can give players a place that they can manage.
Exactly. Like, it's already been there, and the other factor is that this is written in such a way that they don't really explain why you get it at level 5. They don't give you they don't say, oh, your character has enough chutzpah, so that's why this happens. Whereas in past editions, 2nd edition, 1st edition, they come out and they bluntly say, you're 9th level, buddy. It's really hard to not have attracted some notoriety at this point. So there are going to be people who are going to show up saying, teach me, master. And as a result, you should probably have a stronghold for them. Like, they give you those details as, well, this is just part of the game because it makes sense. But in this case, oh, you have a wizard's tower. No idea why.
Yeah, even if you say, okay, that's the bare minimum. Like, okay, you have a tower now because you can have one. Because it's like the level now. Why is it 5? Again, it's already the most important level. It's so stupid.
Why? Like, you could... Just having any reason. I don't care at this point, but they just refuse to.
Like, and also saying, oh, the game master can't mess with it. What do you mean? All of your stuff is in some town. Oh, the town gets hit by an asteroid. I said that I'm the game master. Is it magically still there? Fuck you. Just curtailing what I can write as my game. Not that I want to destroy a town as a DM, but of course the game master can fuck with it.
Yeah.
Either they are the game master and have mastery over your fucking setting, or their own setting, or what are they then? It's just like also, it feels so icky to me because it feels like they don't trust the game master to even manage this shit.
No, they don't. They genuinely don't. This is part of the prediction I had made, almost 2 years ago now? Maybe a year and a half ago now. That they would start to go full powered by the apocalypse brain and just assume that the DM can't even, like, walk and chew gum or anything anymore. That we're going to simplify things, but in simplifying things, make it harder to play the game. And this is one of those perfect examples because it's like, All right, so back in first and second edition. Okay, you have a stronghold. What does that mean? Okay, we can just pick something from this list, and then we can get back to adventuring. Like you can drastically simplify it if you want to,
Yeah.
or you could have been super complicated because they had gold piece prices for each square foot of shingles that you want on your roof. Like they went into that detail.
They'd sure
But
did.
and in this, though, it's more like Pillars of Eternity, where, oh, you want to have the muscle room? All right, the muscle room gives you +1 strength and +1 to athletics checks. There you go. But the thing is that you can only have a maximum of 2 rooms. Why? Can I pay more gold for more? No, you can't. You're only level 5.
Yep.
Fuck you, game.
Yep.
Too gamey.
Yep. It is the worst kind of gamey where it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like we accept that shit in a computer game.
Yeah.
Because we kind of know, okay, this is an MMO. You gave me an island. It's Final Fantasy 14 style thing. I know you gave me an island, but if I could use my accumulated money to just plaster it full of buildings, then that wouldn't be content. So that's why I have to build everything myself. / hire a bunch of little robots to do it for me, and it's like all time gated and stuff. I get it. You want to keep me busy here. I understand. But why would I need that for TTRPG? What the fuck?
You really don't.
The big value add of a TTRPG is that you don't have to care about the little nitty gritty bullshit.
Yeah.
You can hand wave it.
You don't have to.
You can pull. You can like the curtains can fall on the boring stuff, and then we come back to interesting stuff later.
Yeah, like it's the whole appeal is being able to just jump into the fun, and that's why like I always make the comparison to Blades in the Dark, Powered by the Apocalypse. Both of those are very like fiction first, jump into the fun, but then they don't understand what jumping into the fun means. And that's where we're losing that in 5th edition now, too, where they don't understand what jumping into the fun is. 90% of your rules are combat. That was one of my complaints. Now we're going to make it like 20% of the rules are bastions? Fuck you. Like, that's not what I'm asking for.
Rex, I hope your answer to that person was, well, if it's a non-combatant, it should be really easy to kill them.
You mean acceptable losses, sir?
Like,
oh my god.
There's a bunch of other news about that book, but I just wanted to hit this horse a few times because holy crap, that's so bad.
That's so bad.
Like, all you had to do is put a big list of like buildings that you can have and money cost in.
That's it, yeah.
And there would finally have been a money sink in the game that isn't magic items. Now what happens if you want to buy a boat? Oh yes, money costs for boats and building costs for boats and how long it takes and so on and so forth.
And to be just like 100% really real with this, how hard is it to just put 50 boats in a book?
Yeah.
Maybe put some deck plans for like a handful of them. And just say, okay, I have these stats and they have these hard points. Let's go. Oh wait, I just said what Shadowrun is with its vehicles.
Yeah, exactly. That's also a thing they failed to do properly in Spelljammer, where they put like, I think, was it 300 foot the max distance for ballista in that game? I forget. It was ridiculous. And ballista also have set stats. And everything sucks. Like,
bad. It's so bad.
Is there a way to do that system okay? Yeah, in a more guided game, sure. It's like, I'm not asking the Lancer book why I only get 5 points of modifications. No, my mech says there's 5 points of modifications. It's just how big it is.
That's how much space it has for that,
Yeah. Understood. 5 E's on it. But in this, it's like, so I have a Thieves Guild in a large town. Yeah. Can I have a third room? No.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. It's fucking stupid.
It's so stupid. It's like... I will expressly say I was one of those gamers back in 2nd edition who wanted to draw my own castle and like pay for all of it using my character's funds, etc. That was very fun for me.
Yeah.
And if a GM today provided me that option, I'd have fun with it once again, honestly. But my point is that this isn't that, and it will never be that, because you have Bastion, you're level 5, you have 2 rooms, have fun with that.
This is the main value out of this, in big quotation marks, is that every how to play barbarian guide is not going to tell you should really go for the muscle room.
Yeah.
It's a +1 strength, because then your strength will be at 20 sooner, so you can raise your dexterity and get +1 armor class.
Yeah, basically, if I had to put this in a really, really like on the nose, punched in so hard that it's concave fashion, the barbarian guide's going to look like you just logged into Icy Veins or Wowhead now because of this. It's going to have nothing to do with actually being a barbarian, but it's going to be about min-maxing these other weird systems that they've added now.
Yeah, to be fair, it never had anything to do with that, but that's kind of the thing that D&D games have, where it's like the mechanics are divorced from the character so hard that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, okay, to be fair, back in Warlords of Draenor, yes, they would bluntly tell you, no, you're a Death Knight, you should have this building in your garrison.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a computer game. I accept it in a computer game. Because in a computer game, it's also a case of I have to like find the money and the resources to actually build this shit.
Oh yeah.
So and I don't want like this is people who have 1 million gold to just breeze right through. So it has to be stuff I gather. Yeah, I understand it's just a different set of limitations, and I'm curious and really not understanding why they don't understand that anymore.
They really don't understand that anymore. Like, everybody made the accusation back in 4th edition, oh, it's just like an MMO now. More like a turn-based strategy, blah, 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 like we could split hairs. But now they're just like, their elbow is so firmly over into MMO brain. It's even further now, in my opinion.
Yeah, they failed with the overt change to it with 4th edition, so they're going to crowbar it into the back end by making their actual game like it.
Yeah, and
on their back end.
I'll make this even worse for you. The picking a class. Okay, I pick Ranger. Okay, what is your subclass? Oh, okay, I pick Gloomstalker. All right, cool. That's exactly like picking Hunter and then picking Survival. That's exactly what it's like now because you're on rails. Oh my god. Yeah, you don't really make any choices.
Yeah, the game is just solved. That's also another problem. And since they haven't gotten a new edition out, it stays solved.
Yeah. Quote unquote solved.
Yeah, I mean, the solution isn't necessarily the same for everyone. But if you are, if you are somebody who likes to play fighters or martial characters, then there is clear choices you should and shouldn't make for those classes. And even within those classes, certain subclasses you just shouldn't take because they suck.
Yep. Like they flat out do.
And since none of them are different, really. Yeah, why would you take the bad one?
Yeah, exactly. Why would you? Like, except to like be funny or to quote unquote role play. Haha. Which how does the +1 to dancing really add to my role play in this system? It doesn't.
Yep.
But your comment about all the barbarian guides are now going to say you need to take the muscle room. I mean, like that's the direction it's going as it is. So because of what you just said, and then you add in just the fact that, like, of course, like Wizard's Tower, is that a big value add for wizards? Yeah, it makes their spellbook ability even more powerful because they can do magic research whenever they want, and it's cheaper and blah 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 blah. Is it an equivalent for fighters? No. So fighters once again get the short end of the stick.
Of course they do, because there isn't much you can do with fighter. There's just isn't there much you can do with fighter except you get like a little bit of stats.
Yeah, here's your muscle room.
Yeah, but being being a strong guy in a world where magic exists is always going to be a not great proposition. Anyway, okay, enough on that. That's the intermission done.
That's perfect. Yeah, that is the perfect lead into why does it work in the post-apocalyptic setting better? Because it's investment.
Yes, and Sonat wants us to mention Gamma World because it's post-apocalyptic. We will get to Gamma World sooner or later, Sonat. Don't you worry.
Get on hard.
Yeah. Like, I just want to end on. I really don't want to go back to D&D constantly, but they just keep fucking it up, and it's so weird. And I really hope that the DM guide is less of a success. Like fucking hell. I really don't. We still don't need it, so please don't buy it, man. Why would you have? Yeah, that sure is a picture in it. I'm just thinking, why would you have nose guns for your tiger?
Why nose guns and just other things like it? But that's the thing. Like this is the essential Gamma World. The other picture I gave you is too.
Maybe these are the sniffers. These are big sniffers.
That's a sniffer gun.
It can do a big sniff. Yeah.
You can do a big fully automatic sniff.
Yeah, see, this is awesome.
Like this was from their 4th edition based Gamma World. And just this is beautiful because like this feels very World of Warcraft in a couple of ways because is that a Tauren? Is that a human from World of Warcraft? Are they riding the frog mount? No, this is Gamma World. You see the telephone pole. You see that they're riding bikes in the background. I just love it because it's just it's zany. You can be zany in an apocalyptic game and it's fine. That's why I wanted the raccoons to be added to Fallout 1, but they didn't get added.
It's just a bit of a shame. Like this is just immediately evocative and interesting. Like this is actually this is Wizards, right? Where this like there's even the little things. I thought this was like it's a skull ring, but I thought he was wearing a watchful ring. That would have been
cool too.
Yeah, like just just I want this is immediately you want to play the situation where this occurs, where we have to ride our big lizard away from the bikers and shoot a fireball or I don't know what she's doing. While our friend, the big bison man, was gonna hit them with a stick if they come too close. Yeah, let's do Mad Max, but with a bison man. Like, why wouldn't we want to do that?
Why wouldn't we? And I guess that's really what it is that like whenever I bring up post-apocalyptic stuff, fiction, and like I show like the evocative art from it, it's why wouldn't we play this? Yeah. Whereas so many other things, like if you look at any Starfinder art, it actually usually turns me off because I'm like, I don't want to do this, whatever this is, because it's just not grabbing me.
It's honestly one of the reasons why the Lancer art happens to be so good because it looks lived in. It doesn't look like, this is our sleek new power mech. It's going to be the high-tech solution, I promise. No, this is just a mech we have. We've had it for a while and it's kind of used up, but you pilot it now because it's yours now. Like we have made these for a long time, and these are just tools to us. We evaluate them.
the vestiges of post-apocalyptic stuff that's in BattleTech really appeals to me. That like you're using this mech that's like been around for 250 years, and we don't make new ones. We just have to keep using these because it's scarce. I love that. Yeah. It adds so much to a setting when you put in those elements.
Yeah, but they're like within the setting. If you're really deep in BattleTech, it's like, well, we are making Black Knights. We're making them in this facility until the year XYZ. Then that was bombed. So all of the Black Knights that are out there, ever since, have just cannibalized each other to be a mech.
Yep. And that's so important. It just adds so much to just have that as like, because BattleTech has pretty rigorous lore, and they just put that all over the place, and I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas I feel like Warhammer 40k, it's like the opposite. It doesn't represent that quite as well for me because there's just too much vastness.
The problem that Warhammer has with that is that, the lore tells you, oh no, everything is shit and falling apart, but somehow they still have all of these mega monster walkers and tanks and everything. Like if they were really on the back and space fleets and stuff, if they're really on the back leg of things, like that's what BattleTech does so well. BattleTech's like, we could fight in space, but we have like a few hundred ships that can even fly between worlds right now.
Yeah.
Our number of jump ships is 3 or 4 digits long. We have more planets colonized than we have jump ships. We shouldn't probably risk them.
Yes. Oh, and that's the other bridge. The reason why I brought that up is you can do a post-apocalyptic feel with almost any kind of genre or setting that you like.
Yes.
And one of the most famous examples, of course, is a D&D setting. Let me find like the perfect picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How long will it take?
The classic picture.
How long will it take until halflings resort to cannibalism?
Yes,
and there's no other food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they live in the last forests.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Dark Sun, which draws me back again and again because at its core, that's what it is. It's a post-apocalyptic fantasy setting. And the apocalypse that they live in is very much oh gosh, we went too far with our magic, which is mirrors our, oh gosh, we went too far with our technology. That is so common in most post-apocalyptic settings.
Yes.
And that's compelling, that's interesting, that's fun, that's, oh my gosh, we have a reason to go and do X, Y, Z. And then it bakes it in with,
where's this
you're the only, what's a llama?
My alarm, my handy has been doing an alarm at 8 p.m. and I don't know why. Let's turn that off. Did it yesterday, I didn't have the brain.
Oh my god.
Sorry.
Like my phone has an alarm to make sure that I'm ready to go for Fabula, but I keep accidentally programming it back to ringing that every day. So it keeps reminding me every day, oh, it's Fabula time. What?
Yeah, my kindness would understand having done that, but I don't understand why it would be 8 p.m. That's the part where I'm like, what did I do? When did I set this?
Yes.
Anyway,
yes.
I agree. Like to everything you just said, I want to though circle back real quick. Yes, I know in the lore of 40k they had an earlier age that was even more advanced and so on, but that doesn't help me see their decline.
No.
Because their stuff is in disrepair, but it's still like all huge, and it's the galaxies all settled by humans and so on and so forth. Like, quite frankly, if they were that backwards as the lore likes to claim, then this would have all fallen apart right now. Yeah. If they were actually in need of blessing their computers because they can't make new ones, and so if it breaks, we have to by hand fix the computer. No, they wouldn't be in space anymore.
No, they just wouldn't be. And then there's another side to this. It's complex systems. They have the complex systems in place to be able to feed like 1 trillion people on a planet. You're not going to turn around and tell me, oh, they're in decline. No, well, they have the means to feed 1 trillion people.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be in decline and do that. Yeah. I just can't accept that.
Like, they're in decline comparatively. It doesn't feel like it's technologically backwards or anything.
No, it really doesn't.
Look at these guys. Yeah, this guy is living large because he has metal spikes. Most people can't afford metal spikes.
Yep. Yeah, and like his armor, like there's bits of metal. It's not all metal, and it's not covering all of them because he'd die if he was wearing metal.
Yeah, and in the dark sun, in the very, very bright sun, actually, you would not make it far. Best if we're playing bar on Sunday. We're not playing bar today. Today is a talk show.
Yeah, it's talk show.
Like, I think you also kind of can always know if it's a bad time in the apocalypse if people don't have shoes on. Like that's just a universal thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I love, this is tiny segue. I love that in Neo Scavenger, they make a lot of bones about that. Because if you're not wearing shoes, you're bleeding everywhere because you keep stepping on stuff. And if you do wear shoes, but they're the wrong shoes, your movement speed is impaired.
Oh, yeah.
But then if you get the correct shoes, oh gosh, I could really move far on the map now.
Yep. That's a thing in a Cataclysm as well, except Cataclysm, like, technically not rare to find regular shoes, but then they break all the damn time because, well, you kick zombie sets in with them.
Mm-hmm. I love that so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can tell that the guy on the left, he's living large because he's got something on his feet, some kind of footwear going on.
Yeah.
But it's just so much to this because right between the muscle lady, yes, A+, thank you, Dark Sun, for making muscle lady mainstream in the game. But there's a bug man right next to her.
Yeah.
They tell you something.
Yeah. And she's also a giant, right? A half giant. So. Yep. Yeah. And
yes, Max.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Like this is an example that you can do apocalypse anywhere. Because the good thing about with Dark Sun, it's like, yeah, but what if we break the rules of an established setting like D&D?
Yeah.
Like, sure, there isn't an apocalypse in all of D&D, but this planet ain't doing so great.
Yeah.
And that ends up working. And that's like one of the rarer examples of this where you actually have a lore and slash setting broad enough that you can do that. Because normally, like, is there a part of Fallout that's not in the apocalypse? Maybe. We don't really know what's going on in parts of the world, but we don't care.
Yeah, we don't care.
Because then they would be boring. That's what they have some. Best that I know these things is fine. I'm just saying it. They don't sell it to me well. They write these things and they tell me they are true, but I don't believe them.
Yeah, because that's the part of the thing. Like you need to be able to sell it to me.
Yeah. This again. Yeah, this is a good reason why apocalypses can fail to be interesting. Is if the premise is doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
Like if you Fallout would make sense with its supernatural stuff removed still. You cannot say it's the radiation alone, that stuff, and then you can have most of the story but not the super mutants. And you can probably still make that work. And so it's a good story. Under Rail, kind of same thing.
Yeah, actually.
Under Rail also has some psionics and stuff in it, but it's not like integral to the plot as far as I remember. Not that I ever finished that game because I'm not a masochist to that extent.
Oh gosh, it feels very Slavic at times. Very Slavic. Like you have to feel pain in order to go to that game because it's a little too on the nose with the post-apocalyptic flavor in that if you didn't skill right, then you can't get past the story mission.
Like I'm actually kind of struggling to think about what setting is kind of to that vein where they're like, oh yeah, we're in apocalypse, but then this doesn't pan out like that at all. Sure, there's been some movies like that.
Oh yeah, but movies is usually where that happens, and TV shows like Sweet Tooth.
Oh fuck yeah, Sweet Tooth.
There's our best example.
Oh my god, you're right. Yeah. We watched the whole season of that show because it is post-apocalypse. But then at every turn, the show is like, well, these things happen despite making no sense in this apocalypse we have set up.
Yep.
It sucked so hard. If you don't know, folks, everyone in Sweet Tooth from a certain date on, they can't have children. Or they can have children, but the children come out as half animal hybrids, and everybody hates the hybrids. And there's also like some sort of illness killing people. The only way to cure the illness, well, there isn't really a way, but then there is. They can put the hybrids in a blender. And yes, I'm spoiling that show, but that show sucks, so don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. We watched it so you don't have to.
Yeah.
And the best character in the whole series is actually the villain.
Yeah.
He looks like Dr. Robotnik.
He does. He looks like a skinny Dr. Robotnik, and it's great.
Yeah. It's so great. I love him so much for that.
Have we watched 2? I thought we watched 1 season, Sundert.
No, I watched 2 all seasons.
Oh my god, this season 3 is out of that garbage? Oh my god. No.
3 is out.
Ugh. I hate it.
Yeah, it's pain. It's pain.
I hate it here. But when did season 1 even end?
I know, it feels like it never ended, did it?
Yeah, but no, what was the... fuck it doesn't matter. I don't want to think about it. That show sucks. Because the point is, we are in that show like 10 years in the future after the apocalypse. Everything's fallen apart. There's no children. The oldest children that have been born are at least like 10, 11, 12 years old or whatever. And then we see there's no one to replace them because of all the new children come out as hybrids and people hate them because they blame them for this. And then there's like people who are out there like, oh, we should build a town for us with like windmills and shit. And I'm sitting at my screen like, why would you care? Clearly, if you wait like just a few years, there's going to be more empty houses where you are. Because there's no one to fill the houses once people die. Like your bloodline is ending, everyone. You don't need to be that worried anymore. Like these people are way too driven to do shit that doesn't fucking matter. Because like, okay, there's the Dr. Robotnik in the show wants to cure people of the hybridization stuff. But actually, no, I lie. Because all he wants to do is cure people of this illness that's going around. And he's like, oh, I have a vaccine. I want to make a vaccine. And it doesn't matter because, okay, I vaccinated everyone. Can they birth new people, new humans? But no. So what's the point?
It's so bad. Like, it would have been better if it was literally the Sonic TV show and they just had like a kid dressed as a hedgehog running away from him. Like, I'm not kidding when I'm saying this, people. I would rather have taken that, a very badly costumed hedgehog kid running away from this bearded man. It's so bad.
Yeah. Like, this is a little bit of the vibe of that show at its best moments, but it doesn't have many of them. And so, yeah, fuck that show. Is there more, like, stuff where it's just, like, it doesn't make sense?
Sweet Tooth is, like, one of the best examples.
Yeah.
I know there's plenty more.
I'm thinking, but it's like a bit hard. Wait, games are usually can be bad about this, so.
Games are like the big one. Thank you, Game Rant, for the worst post-apocalyptic
worlds. That's a thing pointed out by Wallocracy in the Fallout video. That's like, oh, look how clean these streets are in Fallout 1 and 2. Like the trash aesthetic came later, which is super true, and it wouldn't be there. Because people have all the more reason to reuse that trash when they can't make new stuff easily.
I can think of one of the best ones. What was the name of that game where you use bullets as currency?
Metro.
Yeah. Like, there is so much love put into that. And I'm not talking about the sequel, because I think this is the sequel is where it fell off.
I have no idea.
The original was good.
Metro good. Darkest Dungeon, good for another fantasy style apocalypse.
Yep. Oh, we're leaving out one of the biggest, best ones that everybody's been talking about because it got a sequel, Frostpunk.
Oh, true, Frostpunk. Frostpunk is an unusual setting, and it wouldn't work as a TTRPG, but it's a very good apocalypse, yeah.
Super good apocalypse. It came out originally around the same time as They Are Billions, which is another post-apocalyptic, steampunky game.
That one certainly also works. What was I?
Days Gone, Dying Light. We haven't even mentioned The Last of Us because I don't really want to talk about it.
No, I don't want to talk about it either. That one. That one has been dragged over the coals so many times. I don't care.
There's 10,000 evaluation videos of that out there. So.
Yeah. I personally think the games are okay.
Yeah, they're fine.
And that's about it. I don't care about the show. I never did because it's just a retread of the fucking game.
Yeah.
With some stuff added, I guess, but still. Oh, you know what? Which one is a good example of the dumbest apocalypse in history? What? It's Earth Defense Force.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that. Earth Defense Force is such a good example. Holy shit.
Yeah. This is kind of the issue with going over apocalypses, is that there's just everything tends to be an apocalypse. Oh, fuck. Really a subtle good one is Rain World, where you don't really understand even, but you're basically in the ruins of an ancient civilization as a little guy. You don't even understand what's going on.
That's a really good example. There was one game, Far Changing Tides, that was supposed to be like Waterworld.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, where it was like modify your boat, go on adventures, etc. I don't know anything about it, released in 2022, but apparently people enjoyed it because it was really harsh. So good on them for making it harsh. A Horizon Zero Dawn is one that people forget about too.
Oh yeah. That one
because that takes place in like the 31st century.
That one's just cool, weird with the robots. Yeah.
I loved the premise, but at the same time, I was like, how does society even go on with this? Like that was the question I kept asking myself.
Oh, I having played the first game, I kind of know how that all happened, and they make a kind of sense. Okay. But there's still a question. The question still is worth asking in the world building. What do they eat?
Yeah, what do they eat? Like I always ask basic questions like that because that's the appeal of apocalyptic stuff for me anyway. That's why Dark Sun is just like so delicious because you go and you read the books and you realize, oh, they have 20 types of unique fruit that's unique to this setting. Like, what? Cool.
Yeah. I really like the Dark Sun fruit, which this stuff gives you points, and this stuff's gonna cast like bless on you and so on.
I love that stuff. Like it's cool that they worked that in.
Oh yeah, Farlone Sale. Yeah. Remember that one?
Oh yeah, Farlone Sale. Yeah.
And that's the thing about apocalypses too is, like as an example, BioShock, right? Not technically in an apocalypse setting, but that city certainly has seen better days, and you can make your thing feel apocalyptic, even if it's like locally. How do you say? There's like one locale that is actually going under.
Yeah.
Because the decline is easy to makes it again always easy to have a conflict happen that would otherwise not have happened.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into like the greater discussion here as well, is that like those isolated incidents of apocalyptic stuff, it shares so much in common with the whole broad genre because of how many times like in a post-apocalyptic game or setting you're focused on this one town or this one shelter or this one whatever, that regardless you're going to be dealing with a microcosm. So as a result, Bioshock Infinite, other things like that, heck, even you could even say System Shock because they're in the same venue.
Yep.
They all are focused on a microcosm that's very personal, and post-apocalyptic does personal just so well.
Yes.
Because it's, how am I going to eat today? Do I have to deal with the raiders?
Yes. And the other thing it does well, that's kind of almost almost like the antithesis of what you would expect, is building things. Because, yeah, since everything is falling apart, you need to rebuild, right? Mm-hmm. You need to make sure, like, even if it's just rebuilding your personal supplies, I'm rebuilding my ammo stock right now by looting. It is still a form of gathering and preparing and getting things, and you can easily push that outward, and it's a more immediate it's immediately understandable to everybody, because if I don't have food, I want to go get food. What does that mean? Well, in normal society, you buy it from a store, or you farm it in your garden. That's kind of the options that you have, right? In an apocalypse, you have a lot more options, and maybe they are more perilous, but it's kind of the same thing. And you understand immediately. And where a game like classic fantasy games, like, oh, the orcs are attacking, we need to defend the town. This apocalypse game will be like, hey, you're hungry, and you don't want to eat even more Twinkies that we found. You really could use some other fucking food right now. Shall we go out and brave the darkness to get some food?
Yes.
It's immediately interesting, it's immediately evocative, and everyone understands their motivation.
Yeah, it's like, a lot of people think that simple equals basic, and no, because there's so much that you can express in a setting just based around what we went and had for dinner after we hunted it, whatever it might be. And the whole, like, I'll use the Fallout TV show as an example here. Even though there's so much of it that where you just go, oh my God, what are you doing with this plot? There's so many moments where you're just like, it makes sense. It makes sense that this dog in this apocalypse would be eating a giant roach. What else does he have to eat?
Yeah.
Things like that add something, even though it's ridiculous in the moment when it happens. It's still like, oh, okay, that makes sense, because he wouldn't have dog food he could eat. He wouldn't be even eating like rats or anything. They're probably all dead because the roaches ate them. Just stuff like that. Like, just create something and add something. Even if that something is ridiculous. I don't care if it's ridiculous, because the idea of us surviving in a post-radiation world or whatever, there's a certain amount of, well, gosh, I had a little bit of luck in here. Yes, exactly. The most common food available is farm-grown maggots in the Mad Max game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good example.
Get your protein. What about the battle pass? What about the battle pass?
What about the battle pass?
Are we talking about, is it because someone mentioned a Modern Warfare game or something?
Probably. And there are some games that are cute little post-apocalyptic games, like My Time at Sandrock. I bring that one up because that's one where you're literally just a building / interior decorator who goes to a small oasis town in the desert to fix it up after the apocalypse. Like, something that's simple, that's silly, but they made it into a cute little game.
That sounds cool, actually.
It looks like a very soothing little game. And it also works as a setup for so many of the team shooter games that we've played in the past, like Dead by Daylight and so on. Not Dead by Daylight. What's the one that we played together a bunch? That was technically a sequel.
What?
Man, I can't remember the names of things today. I'm sorry.
Can you describe this in more detail?
Oh, Left 4 Dead. Sorry.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's a really good one still.
Yeah, it is.
And then, isn't Killing Floor also technically a post-apocalyptic situation?
Oh yeah, because the evil corporation let all the zombies out. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a rare example of what I would refer to as British punk.
Yeah.
Because it's so dripping in British stuff.
Oh God, it is.
That made it very, very fun.
It was called Daybreakers. Oh God, Daybreakers. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah. I've seen that movie like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
It's so schlocky, but I enjoy the premise so much, actually.
It is schlock, and it's like, oh, we only have enough humans last week. Normal society must continue. What? But these two things don't go together. You should realize this.
Yes. I just love it because Willem Dafoe is in it, and he like underacts for once, and I'm like, what's going on here?
No one expects the underacting to Dafoe.
Exactly.
It's like a submarine.
And Ethan Hawke in every scene is just like, what am I doing here? He has that look on his face.
Yeah, and then and then you have the scene that's for me where they put all the people in the vac beds.
Boy, they went all the way with that too. Like, yeah. Yeah. But yes, we owe all of this, of course, to Mad Max in some regard for popularizing the genre in movies.
That is true. I think there's like earlier examples, especially for zombies and other things. Planet of the Apes would be a real early one.
Planet of the Apes is a good one. But there's that one where Americans are stranded on the shores of Australia, I think, and there's been nuclear war. It's like a 1950s movie.
I have no idea.
And they have no idea if there's even life left, but all these sailors have to go back on the boat and then push off to go and see if America's even there anymore. It's very desolate. Yeah. It's very miserable. But that was a very early example of a post-apocalyptic movie.
Yes, and yes, Killian, it is. It's that one where you have to just burn yourself a little bit.
Yes.
No. So it turns out that sunscreen actually is bad for you.
Yes.
Not just if you eat it or lick it off your fingers.
Yep. You gotta control the burn. I remember that.
Yeah.
God, so stupid.
But the movie was so
stupid.
Yeah, it is a good movie to riff on. That's what I would say. It is like definitely not a good movie. It's a funny bad movie in the best way. I enjoy it for that. It's not a good movie though. For sure not.
Anyway, the Wasteland series is another good example of
classic.
We tried to make it grounded. They went places with it. I'm glad that they restarted the series and decided, let's just keep going with this.
Yeah.
A more famous mainstream example is the Division. That one was based on an actual presidential order. I forget what it's called, but there's just so many corners of which like this has touched gaming, especially computer games, but like also in the tabletop genre. Like you turn around the corner, somebody's been inspired by After the Bomb. Somebody's been inspired by Rifts.
God, what was that commando style game called where you have a duck and with a gun and so on?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Game where you play a duck. Oh yeah, Mutant Year Zero.
Yeah.
That's the one.
You just mentioned the Division. We did mention the Division, yes.
Yeah, we just did. I name dropped it.
Yes, Dead Space was already dropped earlier. Like, there's just okay. I think we could hang out here and talk about just examples for a long time. Let's get into more analytics. I feel like
analytics go. Yeah. My analysis is like, as a genre, the reason why people just keep returning back to it over and over and over again is because there's always something that will surprise us because of one important element. When everything collapses and we make new societies and new governments and new cultures and whatnot, the creativity that people pour into post-apocalyptic, like, new culture that evolves, you just need to look at photos from Burning Man to get an idea of what that looks like.
Yes.
People go all out. They just go crazy with it when there's no restraints.
Exactly. It's a good opportunity to let go of social norms but still have a recognizable character. Like, I enjoy that look of a guy who has been through some shit, but you can still tell he was going to the office in the morning.
Oh yeah,
that kind of thing. Where it's like, yeah, I'm still wearing my white shirt, but it's stained and ripped. but I didn't have time to change it yet because everything's wrong right now.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I.O. Killian. That's so true. Like the Division game, they did their research about what happens when a big disaster happens in the city.
All the firemen go insane and become flamethrower men. That's what happens.
Yes, exactly. they become what they are. They become their true nature.
They must put all the fires they put out back.
We have to release them. It's like the Ghostbusters.
Okay, I shouldn't riff that game. I know that game wasn't bad. It's just a funny detail to me.
It's still funny, yeah. It's such a good detail. The guys who knew the most about fire started setting them. But yeah, that's the big part of the well of why I keep returning it to it. Also, is just what do we do with society? Like, is now Coke versus Pepsi the cola wars? Is that happening? Like, it's important, but it's also neat how we go these directions.
And that is like the thing is like, if you think about, okay, it is current year, it is the now. How do we affect the world? That's kind of hard, right? Like, we can go vote, we can go into politics and become active there. And that's about it. You can make consumer decisions, I suppose. Yeah, okay, maybe you are in a position where you have enough money to actually buy the good, ethically sourced stuff. Like, on average, I don't think most people do, but that's a whatever from me. Point being, it's hard to imagine changing society today in any form.
Yeah.
But if society is a few hundred people in a village, then it's imaginable that your 5 adventurers could do it. And that's also why it becomes interesting.
Becomes interesting and a power fantasy.
Yeah, and also like almost, I would say, realistic, you know?
Yes.
Where we have five dudes with guns who found them over there in that old facility. And we're taking over here now. Who's gonna stop us? There's like 100 people in the town. Are they gonna fight those 5 people? Maybe. But if those 5 people are like, listen, we have 20 more guns, who's with us? Then, well, 25 people are taking over this town now. Have fun. And that's maybe not grim bright, as Weigel says, but it is certainly like a change in society. And then you have the whole power fantasy there too, of like dictating to people what's in their best interest, which is something I think we are all prone to in our heads. Like, if everyone could see what I want, things would be better. Or at least if I could make them do it, then things would be better. And that's really hard in real life.
That is really hard. You have all these layers of bureaucracy and this and that, and these special interest groups. But in the apocalypse, the special interest group is this guy has 15 bullets and he knows how to hunt squirrels. Like, it suddenly becomes very simple again. And to continue on the grim bright front there, Waggles, I love the settings where you're the point of light in the darkness, because you're the one making choices and stuff happens. And there's a very real, wow, it isn't that I can make change, it's that, my choices matter. I mean, that's why Baldur's Gate 3 was so popular for so many people, was I made a choice, and now the NPC wants to fuck me. Like, it mattered to some degree. Because there's so many games that just didn't matter. Mass Effect. And
get your war score high enough. The final cutscene becomes different.
Yes, it becomes an orgy. Yes, exactly.
You just have to grind the multiplayer, because that's the only way to get enough score.
Yep, grind that multiplayer.
That's a smart decision by the makers of that game.
Mass Effect 3 is another good example of, wow, an apocalypse is happening, but we really failed to stick the landing on making it truly feel that way if we're going off and having parties. Yeah.
Like, to an extent, that you might say that's human, but like maybe
it didn't
just
feel right.
No, it didn't. I only saw it played and never played it because it was on Origin only back then.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not install that shit on my computer ever.
Yes. It is such a parasite.
Like,
but
yeah. Yeah, like, again, bottom line, it takes the complexity out of society, but leaves it there for you to do stuff with.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because, like, making the difference, that can be complicated by itself. And convincing this bandit faction to stop raiding everybody, and instead, hey, if we just genuinely protected all these people, then there'd be more than enough to go around. Like,
yeah,
you can have those interesting dilemmas very easily.
Yep. And obviously, in cases like stuff's still oversimplified in your head. Like, if society ended tomorrow for me, I would have to trek to France to turn all their nuclear power plants off so they don't explode and kill me.
Yep.
And that's a problem I don't want to have.
Mm-hmm. And your game would be like a reverse of the game hatred then.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And that's stuff usually, like, in many cases, people don't even think about.
Yeah.
Or just say, oh, then we are far enough away from it that it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But it's also like why it's so appealing for us to have a fantasy about it. Is because, we also know that in real life it would totally suck if it happened. For one thing, we would probably not be on the survivor side, just statistically speaking. Even if you're a fit person and are prepared, like prepper style, the statistically likelihood that you make it are not high.
No. And as very left-leaning preppers that I've known have said, it doesn't matter how much I prepare if I don't have enough bullets. Yep. And that's a very big thing for any post-apocalyptic writing at all. And that's just the grim reality of it. No matter how much you want to talk about a fun, like, biopunk future society that's very green, well, if they don't have enough bullets, they're not going to protect it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oops, I prepped for the wrong apocalypse. I didn't have enough green glow sticks to use as currency for the aliens that invaded us.
That's an internet common etiquette video where it's like, oh, look at all these apocalypses that can happen. Look at all the people talking about it. And then at the end it's, oh, what's that siren? Oh, it's the nukes. This whole video was pointless. Good night.
So good. It's so good.
Yep.
Killian. That's usually what it comes down to. That's why I put post-apocalyptic stuff firmly in the realm of fantasy so often, is because you have to have some optimism in order for it to be really fun.
Exactly.
That's why The Walking Dead, sure, I watched, I don't know, 4 seasons, maybe 5 seasons of it, but like I just don't even want to anymore. I just can't.
Oh no, I didn't open it. But look at the bad guy from Sweet Tooth. It's skinny Robotnik to a T.
Yes, he's skinny Robotnik.
They knew what they were doing. But yeah, it's enough of Sweet Tooth. That's enough. I just didn't see you post that.
He is a beautiful man, no matter what. And he will be a villain in one of my games someday, just because I love him.
By the way, one of my favorite things about apocalyptic games too is future people misunderstanding stuff about old society, and in jokes you can tell with it. Like, I'll give an example of my several year friend Ataraxian DMing after the bomb force, and the whole premise of the adventure was, and are these mutated beavers, right? No, what, badgers? Badgers.
Badgers. And
they're like fighting over this dark drink they found, and it's like 2 factions, and it's unclear like what they are. But the drink is really powerful. It's like a drug that makes you like party for days and then you crash, but then you can drink more and you go back to it, and they're kind of getting addicted to it. And then you get to the fucking factory, and it's just like it's either Coke or Pepsi, but we aren't sure. And that's actually a war. Is it Coke or is it Pepsi?
Yes.
Because the joke is that it was filled in the same factory, and they told nobody. And then we have to solve then it's just a societal problem where we have to solve the Badger tribe killing each other.
And I have to toot my own horn a little. The game that I ran, that is a post-apocalyptic game, like 300 plus years in the future after an apocalypse.
Yeah.
It's more like 500 plus, but
nobody
after
knows
that many years.
Strong one. Yeah, exactly.
It was a game that Nura was participating in, and the PC found out, they're poisoning the water here. What are they poisoning it with? Well, these literal demons were synthesizing Mountain Dew from an old recipe that they had found, so that they could dip villagers in it and see what happens to them.
Yeah, they became like demons as well.
They became demons.
It was great.
Multiple flavors, and they found out that some flavors didn't go over so well.
Yeah.
It's just
was a good
basic
game.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's these things that are just like references to the past. I haven't even mentioned the Great Chicken Spirit, but I'll get into that later. It's the possibility for these references is so powerful, and the memetics of it especially.
And that's the biggest mimetic of this is the ancients that were more powerful.
Yes.
And that's something any fantasy setting will also just use. There were the mage kings of Angmar were here thousands of years ago. They are no longer here. No one knows where they went, but their ruin is over there. No one goes there because of the golem and other things. And then the player character says, that sounds like an adventure hook. Let's go. Because clearly, as the player you want to get your character into cool situations.
Yep.
And the consequences be damned and realism be damned. It makes sense why no one goes there if there's a golem stomping you. And that trope is really at the core of all of this. That there's basically a place where you can find wondrous things. And the apocalypse is so nice about that because you know what those things are. You know that the gap is over there, over yonder mountain. You can loot unlimited hoodies. They might be a bit bland, but you're going to be warm in the winter.
You're going to be very warm in the winter, and some of your neighbors, yes. And the absolute best CRPG that did this better than any other, in my opinion, is Age of Decadence.
Oh, fuck. It's a good drop.
Yeah, because, we created Roman society again, and everything's a piece of shit. But then we go into these ancient ruins, and this is a post-apocalyptic society. You, the player, find out. At the beginning, you were just like, this is another can't stop thinking about Rome sim. I guess I'll play this piece of shit. And then you find that out, and you're just like, oh my god, this is really deep.
Yeah, and then you find like the mega power armor and stuff, and become a god.
Yes. And then you can, as a result of all this, talking to the AI who wants to like restart civilization, you can tell them, hey, can you put this guy in charge who's just a piece of shit who wants to backstab everybody? Thanks. And then walk away.
And you also do have, and that's another like value add that you just get for free by doing this, you have a mystery. What? Yes. Why did they leave? Why were they destroyed? Where are they now? What happened? What happened?
Yep. What happened?
Yeah. Is sure we might never find out, but it piques your interest. It's just human nature to be curious about these things.
And if they were so enlightened, why did they have plasma rifles?
Yeah.
Like, what threat did they face that they required this?
And this is something I will actually say is, and can be a negative to a setting like that, is when the whole point of it ultimately is finding out what happened. Because ultimately it doesn't matter. That's the goal. That is the secret that many people don't understand is Yeah, I'm sure you want to know where the zombie virus came from. Like, you're interested in that. But does it change your situation? No. Can you solve that? No. So should you be interested in it? Maybe less than you are, you know? And that's something that many writers will put too much stock into actually explaining the apocalypse in too much detail. This is a thing where we'll credit Final Fantasy XIV, to drop that one, with actually doing that well, because they do take their time. And they don't just hit you over the head with the plot dump immediately.
That's very important. Like, with so many post-apocalyptic games, you can start out as the guy from the village that nobody heard of.
Yep.
And you can make that your whole character to start with. And you can expand upon it if you want. Whereas so many established settings, we'll go back to the, I'm going to set it in 1980s Germany. You're going to have to figure out where your character's from, what they were doing, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a certain freedom to saying, nah, they just have a British accent. I don't know why. And just going with it.
Did your character go to secondary school? Oh yeah? Which one? Germany has 4 kinds of secondary school.
Exactly. See, you're already nailing things that people don't like. There's so many people sitting around the table that they don't actually want to think about that at the start, but they'd be happy to think about it later.
Yep. And it boils things down to the essentials while giving you mystery and intrigue for free. Mm-hmm. So that's always a sign of a good thing. Again, then once you are clued into that, like even little things can be suddenly way more interesting than you thought. Like, I'll pull on where they are billions for a second.
Oh yeah.
So there's these big railways we are using to bring people out, right? Mm-hmm. So we've done this before, have we? Mm-hmm. This can't be the first time we are going out here, because you have fucking trains that go around.
Mm-hmm. I love that that's the plot of the game. Yep. That, whoa, wait, am I not the first one who went out here to... No, just go out there with the men I gave you.
Don't worry why there's like more or less working oil wells standing around. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Yeah. I love the premise of that game so much, and I love that the final premise of the game is clearly, does this mean we get to become powerful enough to go challenge the emperor behind his steel door? Of course. Of course, why wouldn't you? And that's what he's afraid of course.
But yeah, that's kind of my favorite thing about it, and what I think is always important to do. Mm-hmm. Like, and then you can present like interesting things, like in a fantasy game I used to run for my friends. Mm-hmm. They found a big city that was like concentric circles of huge walls, just rising further and higher as they went into the point where the inner city, they had like not much sunlight down there because the walls were so big, but then they were still all breached by something, and you can't help as think about, okay, what the fuck happened here? Mm-hmm. And that's interesting, even if you never find out what happened here. And this will stick in your brain a lot more than, this is Fantasy Village. They are on a hilly plain with some forest.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That is why people remember Megaton from Fallout 3, even though they couldn't remember any other names of any other places in that game.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's why people remember things like New Reno. Like, how does this exist in Fallout 2? Doesn't matter. Like, come here anyway. Have fun. There's 4 fucking factions fighting each other here. That's the main important thing you need to know.
Reno is a cool area in Fallout 2, right? Yeah, it's in 2.
Yeah, 2.
Yeah, we already mentioned Metro, Killian. Metro is good because it's like a more realistic Fallout, where it's at least on the surface, where it's like, there's living in the subway tunnels. Mm-hmm. Man, I love Fantasy Town from hit game Fantasy Game. Yeah.
That's so accurate, Wags. Oh my god, it's so accurate. That's why, like, if somebody says Dark Sun to me, like, it's a neuron activation because I'm like, oh yeah, the free city of Tyr, where they killed the sorcerer king that ruled over them, and now they're starting to figure out how do we fucking run society now that we don't have this guy oppressing us, and they find out, wow, this is hard. I just love that premise so much. It's fun.
Yeah, because life goes on after you kill the big enemy.
Yeah, exactly. And all those heroes are like, yay, we killed them.
Yeah.
Crap, I don't know how to run a city.
It's one of those.
I'm gonna go do adventures. Bye.
Yeah, that's one of those settings where you can smell that probably was somebody's campaign.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The guy who wrote the novels, Troy Denning, was very, very obvious about that fact that it was not necessarily based on something he ran, but what the game designers of Dark Sun had run, which added some like confusion to people who were just like, "What? All this stuff goes on in these books? What?"
It's just so many details to it. Like, oh, look, it's a fantasy game. There's a cave over there. What's going to be in there? Well, realistically, you're going to get stuck into some sort of crevasse and get starved to death, or there might be a bear. Yep. That's it. That's the realistic choices there. Or nothing, of course, also a choice. Yes. But if it's if there was an ancient civilization, there could be like ruins down there. There could be a vault or something. Like it just makes every place immediately more inviting to adventure.
Yes. That's the other like huge appealing thing about it also is that like if you set it in our world of today, then you can do your own Death Road to Canada game where you like, okay, we go to the ruins of Toronto and fill in the blanks, use an actual map of Toronto, detail how this quarter of the city was destroyed, and then this quarter of the town is ruled by Chinese people who have a supercomputer or whatever. Whatever you want to copy from something else. It's so easy. Yeah. It's just do whatever you want with it at that point. And there have been so many pickup games I've been involved in that were just like, well, we have the D20 modern book and we know the system well enough, so we're just going to pick literally a random town off of the globe. I'm going to spin the globe and then stab my finger here, and that's where we're going to start our post-apocalyptic game.
It was the ocean.
Oh no! We started in
Waterworld again. Every time.
Why does this happen?
7 out of 10 games. Yeah.
It just. The funny thing is, we did do that twice. We said, "Okay, when our finger stabs land, okay."
Great.
But actually, the second one of those, we decided to go with like the oil tanker from Fallout 2 as like the home that we were all in, and we were trying to find a place to dock. Like that was the plot, and that was a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, that can work.
Yeah, it worked really well because like there were parts of the ship that we hadn't been to in weeks, and we went down there and found out what was going on and stuff like that.
And yeah, Killian, Waterworld was a great setting idea with a shitty movie tied to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, if people want to sit me down and make me watch Waterworld again, fine, I will, because I enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah.
Yep. And yes, I have not mentioned the Postman except in passing once this whole time, so.
Good job. Let's keep not mentioning the Postman.
Yeah. I'm trying to keep myself under control.
Well, yeah, it was a fun movie. I agree. That's very much Mad Max vibes.
Oh yeah,
and that's always good.
Yeah, like if you take something like that way too seriously. Oh no, Wags! Don't ask us that question.
The Postman is the man who brings you your mail, Waggles. It can also be a woman, in which case it's a post woman.
Possible. They're featured in the hit Discworld book, Going Postal.
Or post non-binary is also acceptable. 2024.
Post non-binary. Post NB. Post person.
Yeah, they do that. Like that's how your mail arrives at your mail slot.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder why they never deliver anything to me at the bottom of my lake. Oh, you might have a PO box somewhere that you don't know about.
Yes, you might need that.
Ah,
yes. Or it's just taking forever to float to the bottom, Waggles. Like
it's
they're
actually
not paid to add weights.
Let's see. What do we? What's your? We are 2 hours in. I want to get to I want to talk about what's your favorite trope for post-apocalypse? I know tropes are overrated, but you know what I mean. Like, what's your favorite thing, detail, whatever about it? About this thing? The Cannora's house, no. Oh no, not at the house I'm renting from. Whatever shall I do when the house I don't own gets destroyed? Well, I guess it would be annoying, but still, no. I would prefer you not to do that.
Are we playing Ultima? Like, that's what you do in all the Ultima games. You find a cannon and you point it at somebody's house.
That is actually a thing you can do in Die Gilde as well. Build your castle, build a cannon tower, and then shoot at your enemies. Make the game crash. Get accused of murder for this, but no one has evidence. It could be anyone's cannon tower.
I'm going to be funny and actually use a trope that is from TV tropes.
Oh, yeah?
My favorite aspect is the apocalypse.
Ooh.
The fact that everybody goes punk after a certain period of time.
Yeah.
And that everybody in the process of going punk decides to become their own rebel in their own way on their own time.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that the vault dweller is wearing their jumpsuit outside of the vault and then continues to wear it winds up being a form of punk, even because they eventually get exiled. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things where it's just like you're kind of being a rebel in that you're still wearing your colors out in the desert, even though it's clear that you're a vault dweller.
Yeah, realistically, finding all that eyeliner is not that easy, but they make it work. Yeah.
They make it work. It's so true, and all the hair dye too. Like Manic Panic, like they found a factory of that somewhere.
Tight black leather pants.
Yes.
The worst kind of pants to wear in the apocalypse, but we have to wear them. It's a statement.
Yes. The horrible low mobility pants. Yes.
Yeah.
But that's one of my favorite things. Is it's just like all of this explodes. Everybody realizes, oh, I don't have to dress like a school marm anymore. Oh, I don't have to do this anymore. And it isn't necessarily the act of rebellion. It's the, oh, cool, I wanted to paint a painting. Let's go do it now. And eventually you get bored and you have to go hunt squirrels again, but now you painted a painting. Whereas that 8-hour job where you were messing around with Excel sheets all day prevented you from doing that.
Yeah, to really do. I think that is honestly... This somehow relates to such this whole thing. I mean, not necessarily what you just said, but also what you just said. It kind of actually makes me think that if we ever encounter aliens, one of the things we won't have in common is this fascination necessarily.
Yeah, we won't.
Because this feels like something that not everybody would have necessarily. Because it marks the human race as curious and also at the same time willing to take risks, but also maybe limited in the scope of our thinking in a particular way. It's interesting. It's just interesting.
Yeah. I just thought of something as you were saying that.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll encounter many aliens that have the duality of simultaneously both wanting to be the Roman and the barbarian at the same time.
Oh, God, yeah.
That's what this is an expression of, honestly, because, yes, we're going to make our new society, and it's going to be cool, but also I'm a punk, and I'm going to ride this roadhog that'll heavily over-modified through the desert.
Yeah, and you can tell, by the way, that there's always been this fascination with these things. So if you read the Romans went on vacations, on tourist vacations to Egypt, Because Egypt is older to them by the time than the Romans are to us now.
Yeah.
Like the pyramids are that old. And so they would go there and basically look at the old thing, like much as we do today, and be like, "Whoa, they had that. We can't build that today." Like kind of thing. And it's just a very fundamental part of human nature being fascinated by this. And I mean, you can't help it, I don't think. I think this is very universal, honestly.
Very universal. It's why there's people who still go to Stonehenge today to not necessarily directly worship, but do things that are similar or directly related to the concept of worship. And just standing there in awe of it.
They do that so the bean spirits don't come out to take revenge on the British for the murder they have committed to the beans.
You put us on toast! Yeah. You fuckers! But yeah, like, I totally agree with you. Like, that's such a human thing. Like, I've known so many people who took a trip to China just to go to the Great Wall. Like, thousands of years of culture, but all you wanted to see was this damn wall. Like, that's how we are. That's exactly how we are.
Yep.
Put you on toast again.
That's why, like, and that's the thing again in Apocalypse, where suddenly, if all you have is a dingy old village out of half ruins, then an intact factory is basically a world wonder to you in that moment. And so it makes it feel like you are experiencing that kind of feeling. I will not be spread on toast, son. No. No,
not the beans. Not the toe beans on toast.
No. Not these toe beans on toast. No.
That's why not. It makes a lot of sense why when, playing 7 Days to Die or something, and we go to a vast food factory to raid it. We're still gripped by this sensation of, wow, this is a really big place. Damn. Look at all these hallways. We still have those moments.
And then the loot sucks, yeah.
Yeah, and then the loot sucks, yeah. Then we put on the T-shirt that says I raided this factory, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt. Yeah. Yeah. Aliens would look at us so funny, they'd be like, well, why don't you like your food of today? Why are you constantly fetishizing the diet, literally, of cavemen?
Yep.
Which I think is another expression of it.
Yeah, I think this is me being philosophical / thinky. No, I'm not really. Of course, I don't know any of these things, and I think this is a bit of the human brain going okay, we know where interesting things are. They are in places that humans have made them. Because literally in no other there's no other scenario where a human has encountered a thing that has been made, per se. Sure, some animals use sticks and stuff, but you know what I mean. So, for as long as we have existed as a tool-making species, the only place to get better tools that we don't make ourselves is to get them from someone. And so I think that's enough. It's enough time to actually have that ingrained almost in our genes to be interested in. It looks like that house is abandoned. Maybe we can loot it. Maybe there's something in there that is interesting.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of conversations about hunting and gathering and so on, and there's so much for us where I think it was an anthropologist was talking about this. They introduced the concept of the apex gatherer because the humans that survived very early on were the ones who were super liminal gatherers who decided, I'm going to take a little extra risk and see if there's extra berries in this area, the most basic level. But the most complex level, I'm going to be sneaky and sneak into this place that's obviously abandoned for the summer and see what I can get. And Sure, there's animals that do that, but it's usually opportunistic in their case. In our case, it's less opportunistic, and we will actively seek out the pleasure of, oh, this is a house that's abandoned, and delay getting other resources just to check out that abandoned house.
Like, of course, it's also partially opportunistic at the same time.
It always
but it's our monkey curiosity comes out there, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Very much so, because we'll investigate something and for our own detriment. I guess that's the best way for me to put it.
Yeah.
Whereas so many animals, at the first sign of anything being off they go. Whereas in our case, man, I'm really scared, but I really want to know what's in here.
This is a take I would wish I would see of like meat-eating species that are intelligent, like an alien, where they are super risk-averse, actually, instead of risk-taking.
Yes.
Because
I would really like to see that.
Because as a meat-eater, it's like, we have to hunt. We have to eat the meat that we hunt. But there isn't a meat-eating animal that hunts literally for fun. Like cats do it kind of in play. But cats are also weird. I should know. Like if you look at lions lie around in the sun for most of the day and then they go hunt. And that's a lion's day. They don't hunt for fun. They hunt because they are hungry.
Yeah.
And I feel like both pure herbivore species and like carnivore species are kind of the same in that. Where the herbivore would be risk averse because, well, why would I go anywhere but here to eat the stuff that's already on the ground everywhere?
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I would go somewhere is if there's like carnivores around. Are there carnivores around? I must be careful. Oh my god. Meanwhile, the meat eater's like, I can hunt. And then I have hunted and I have food. Why would I necessarily take the risk to look around for like stuff to loot on top of that? I don't need it. I can hunt. And there's ample food in this area. If there isn't, I will have to move. But there isn't a reason for me to be super curious about the cave over there. Unless I'm like, I want to live there now. And I think that's honestly kind of the root of all of this. Not solely, but it sure is.
It sure is. Because all apocalypse games at some point are you going back to that thing that we always want to return to monkey hunting and gathering, but on a more complex level of not just the typical resources that are for the everyday to day, but then the advanced resources, the fascination as well, which is another thing that like a lot of people want to discount about a lot of this. Is it's just like, oh, I stumbled into this side tunnel that was an abandoned shaft for a subway in a Metro game or something. And now that opens up this other area that now I can explore and see if there's more firefighters here or whatever. I know I'm mixing the games now, but you get my point. It's there is part of us that have the our curiosity being satiated was so important that at some point we made boats just to cross the water.
Yes.
Like,
to know what's over there.
That's how crazy we are about it.
Yeah. And that is, I think, part of the fascination today with games and stories and so on. Not that they're not, we're always fascinated with stories, but games, like so many people like to play exploratory games because of that. Because, we can't really find things anymore. So we have to find them in other ways.
Exactly. Like, I can't go to the moon, but I will play a game where I go to the moon because that's what's available to me. Now, if it was available to me to go to the moon, I'd probably do it because I'd want to. And that's an essential component of all this gaming as well, is like the fantasy fulfillment is definitely there. I'm just using an example of something that does exist. And then there's all the things that just don't exist. Like, we're going to create apocalyptic conditions? No, we're not.
And then there's the ultimate thing also, where it's like, okay, we're on the moon. What's here? Bunch of rocks, dust,
exactly,
and stuff we shot up here earlier. Like, that's kind of it. Sorry.
That's such a human thing, though. For us to just go to the moon and just be like, "Yep, I was here," and then leave.
Yeah. But that's why it works so much better in games, because you can be like, no, actually there is like a monolith over there.
Yes,
you can touch it and have a vision of a monkey throwing a ball into the air or something. And wonder about that for a long time and go to Jupiter 9 years later, you know. But yeah, because we also know kinda that if we actually go to the abandoned house to explore, we are probably going to find like black mold and glass shards or something. But if it's a game, actually there has to be something here. We have to find something in this fucking place. Otherwise it's boring. Why would it be boring? That's why it works so well as a fantasy, because we don't have to make it boring.
You never have to make it boring, honestly. Yeah. Like and there's so much of you go through 5 homes, they were all boring, but the 6th home, you can always abbreviate very easily in these damn tabletop game stories.
Yes.
Very easily. That's often CRPGs miss, is maybe we could skip the first 5 homes.
Oh my god, I just realized. Drake.
What?
I realized what my least favorite trope in this is.
What?
Specifically, this pertains more so to games, but it can also happen in other stories, of course. It is when I go into the ancient ruin, I go like 2 floors deep. I fight the undead there, or the leftover whatevers, and then I find a perfectly fresh cabbage in one of the lockers.
Yeah.
That's the Skyrim effect, where it's like, well, we didn't think to make a loot table specifically for this. These pots also appear outside, so they have the loot table where there's cabbage in there. And I hate that, because it immediately takes you out of the experience.
It does, because 2 games I can think of that don't do that, Stone Shard and Quasimorph.
Yeah.
You look at the little countdown for, it's going to rot in 3 days. Both of them like have that, and it immediately immerses me further in it, having some it means things are going to break down eventually.
I'm more cabbage in my family. I'm going to make like a garden area where they have cabbage.
We just see Cabbage Corp, but in Fabula Ultima.
Yeah. From
Avatar.
That's easily my least favorite thing, and it's more broad than what I've expressed. Of course, it is when the setting itself breaks itself by including stuff that can't make sense. Like, if I find the cabbage in this ancient facility, I'm like, what the fuck? Do they grow it here? And then I find a reason why it's there. That's cool. But if I never find a reason why it was there, then it's broken and it's ruined, because it's just like, I guess you just have it, it's just random.
My worst thing is when we want to be super inconsistent with how realistic we want to be about particular things. Like medical stuff is a great example for that. We want to have super mutants running around, but my character broke his toe and died because a little bit of the fat from the bone went to my heart. Like, no, don't put both in the same universe, please.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't do that. Because there's too often we want to write a character out of the script and they just die because they got gangrene.
That is one of the things that you get in certain TTRPGs, especially when the writer is actually knowledgeable about something, and so it has to go into the book, even though it shouldn't.
Yeah,
like it doesn't help the book that you know exactly how you get tetanus and gangrene. It does not make it interesting that I can contract these diseases. But because you are an EMT for 10 years, you have to put this in here in your book that you're writing.
Yeah.
Tends to be a mistake simply because that's not what we are there for. Like, illness never works well in a TTRPG, in my opinion, because it's not interesting to be like, oh, you are weak and stupid and feel bad, and you're going to be in the bed for a few days. Okay, can we just fast forward that? No, we have to play it. Okay.
Yeah, that's why whenever I put like, this happens every single time I DM, and then I put in anybody who is a cannibal. Immediately somebody goes, but they'll get prion disease, and then they'll be useless and stupid and blah, blah, blah. Okay, they're crazy and they're attacking you. There, are you happy about the prion disease now? Like, what do you want me to say? Like, I don't care. Like, they wouldn't care. They're hungry.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care.
Michael's good reference to Disco Elysium, the voice being too strong. Yeah, those people legitimately have too high stats in something to not include it in other things.
Yeah. That's such a perfect representation of that.
That is Drake and I with TTRPGs, because we square everything back to our TTRPG stat is too high.
It really is. Like, that's me with, like, whenever somebody says, oh yeah, the hospital bureaucracy in this area is good. It's never good. Shut up. I know too much about that.
Yeah. It's like someone saying, oh, this company has really good security. Yeah, I believe you. I believe you. Totally. Yeah, please. Don't say no more. Say no more. Like, I got sent an admin password in the mail today. In the fucking in an unencrypted email.
Oh, God.
I'm not going to say what company I work for. I'm just going to say that happened.
People. But yeah, it works on so many levels. There are periods in history also where you can say, hey, this was a really low point, so it's kind of post-apocalyptic here in whatever, Poland or wherever you want to set it. Yeah. And that's why it also works so well, is you could slip that in. This was the dark ages of Siberia or whatever.
Yeah. This is a good point Killian makes. Where sure, they might die of prion disease in 10 years, but they also might die of not having eaten in a few weeks if they don't eat. Also, cannibalism. I have listened to a dollop or two. Actually, you know what's not a problem with, like, people who are desperate enough to eat each other in those situations usually? There doesn't seem to be a lot of fat in those bones and on that meat usually, you know? So you're eating too long, you're eating pure protein, and that goes right the fuck through you, and you can't deal with it super well with your body. Like, that's especially a problem if you have nothing else to, like, eat it with. But, like, and so that's super inefficient to do as well. So you cannibals actually, like, waste a lot of the calories they consume.
Yeah. That's exactly it, Waggles. Like, as a result, you can't get any nutrients at all from it because you're just eating pure protein.
Like, it's not that you can't get any at all. The problem ends up being that, you can eat the meat, but it's not going to be, like, obviously it's not great for you anyway, but it's not, like, good meat in the moments where it would be. Like, if you could just cut into your coworker willy-nilly, like, and say it's regrossed, and be like, oh, I'm going to put that on a grill. That might be nice. In a universe where that just works of anyone suffering for it. But that's not what you're eating. You're basically like, oh, let's starve these cows for a month and then slaughter them and eat them. It's going to not be great then either.
Yeah. And of course, I overstated it. You wouldn't get it wouldn't be a situation where you get no nutrients. It's just that the nutrients you get are reduced enough to cause a fever state or a disease state. That's why we get the term rabbit fever. It refers to two different things technically. There is an actual disease you can get, but the malnutrition is usually what hits you.
The real life situation is like certain Australian expeditions had, like, those people were became quite desperate. They would dry it, Killian, because then they were more used to eating dried meat. It was tough anyway. Like, it's this is how did we get to this? But I guess it's apocalypse adjacent, so it's fine.
It's apocalypse adjacent because the realism of it is that, like, in all of these situations, we were trying to figure out what can I eat, what can I not eat, and what do the villains eat, and what do the good guys eat.
I just remembered. You know, I don't go for Hololive, right? Sorry, this is attention that's going somewhere, I swear. But I saw a clip recently, it was just like 1 minute, of one of their VTubers being like playing Fallout 3 or something of New Vegas, and then being like, man, I hate this guy killing an NPC. And then just being like, can I eat him now? Can I eat him? Come on, cannibalism, yay! And then just saying, girl dinner.
Girl dinner, yes.
So good. I laughed my fucking ass off. And that's just what I imagine. That's what I would call that perk, the cannibalism perk in my apocalypse game. It's just girl dinner.
Girl dinner. Okay. All right. If I write anything, that's it. It's going to be in there as girl dinner.
That's another thing most people seem to either not know or not think of when it comes to eating animals raw. Can't remember the exact amount, but you consume too much blood in one sitting. It will include vomiting. Yes, true.
They mentioned that in Fight Club.
And even assuming you don't eat it raw, right? Even assuming you have at least can make fire or can bleed the animal properly. Like people who get in these situations, by and large, have enough survival skills to know these things. Like now we are not talking about apocalypse because I don't really want to think about a widespread cannibalism being necessary in those. That doesn't seem like a very nice apocalypse. I wouldn't really want to be in it.
No, I've already written that, so and it isn't nice.
But yeah, blood is actually not that easy to eat.
Yeah, it's really not. Like a lot of people joke about it, but no, most of us are not very capable of being hemovores. I'm sorry.
Blood sausage, there's a lot of like oats in there.
Yeah, a lot of oats. But yeah,
I
like
cannibalism in your games because my character is crazy. Well, see, that's and a meta answer to that is I don't like the explanation that my character is crazy for stuff that happens in their game. I would like a more deep explanation for it. Doesn't make for an interesting storyline if just anything can happen because my character is crazy.
Yeah, as somebody who's been the recipient of, they're crazy, that's why they did that, I don't like assigning that to characters. Because it's assigned to me in real life way too often.
Yeah, like not to say you can't do that if it's done well. Yeah, it's fair enough. If you like, the point is cannibalism. Okay, it's probably not that easy to come up with a good law for it, but I have come up with it for an alien character I played before, where it's like, well, yeah, these are people are like part plant. Or fully plant, basically. So they already have fruit that they can eat from each other. So eating each other's parts doesn't seem to be that far-fetched to them. For example, like that's an example of something that you could be doing. And then there's eating your enemy. Oftentimes in real life, when it happened, was a sign of we're taking in their spirit, or we are like. It's a ritual of some kind. They don't usually eat people for fun.
Yeah, taking their power.
Yeah.
And then also to your plant species thing, I just had an epiphany. The other reason why they might do that is to exchange information if like their weird plant nervous system is heavily distributed, so they could share memories that way, which would be very interesting.
Yeah.
People stumble upon that. Why are you eating each other? Oh, because coming back from a spy mission, and I wanted to know what they know very quickly.
Yeah.
It's a funny image. I love that.
There's a lot you can do. Like there's so much you can do.
There's a lot you can do.
Okay, this is a bit long enough off topic, I think, though. Do you have one more thing for this?
Yeah, I was immediately going to mention the ghoul character that I played in the past, Brains. Who is in Shadowrun and has been in Vampire, who does eat people and is, very, how can I put this, kind about it, but at the same time realizes if I just eat like a corpse that's been there for a while, I'm not going to get much from it, unfortunately. So it was one of those situations where she was the most non-lethal Shadowrunner I ever played because, she'd use knockout darts, she'd be nice to guards, etc. But then the party realized, she's doing that and then looking up their records to find one who's actually a very bad person, so that they can quote unquote lose their job forever.
Oh no, I like that.
It was very fun because she was like, it's a perfect example of a cannibal character who had to by necessity, who was very moral about it.
Why do we play similar characters, Drake? I had in one of my longer running Shadowrun characters was we're playing through the history of Shadowrun campaign that a friend of mine ran for years, and became a ghoul in Chicago, having been in a situation where they had been bitten. Wasn't planned, but it happened. And they also were acted in similar ways. Yeah, we do share brain sets, and it's amazing how that happens. And we still find out.
We even have to eat each other to have that happen.
Yeah. Not yet.
Not yet. That stream will be in several years when they legalize that on Twitch. Okay, so
sex illegal, cannibalism fine.
So that would be so the worst timeline. Oh my god.
Yeah.
But I had a point where I was going with that. And they were just somebody who was like going through med school when it happened, and it was like a very natural evolution for me. And like afterwards, I discovered the character Liv Moore in iZombie, and I was like, oh god, it's her.
That's
perfect. But yeah, that I was trying to tie the cannibalism arc there in a neat little bow of you can come up with like even a moral character who has to do this.
Yep.
But it's having a reason beyond I'm crazy is really just adds anything immediately.
Yeah.
And like Dark Sun, for example, halflings in that setting, they get referred to as cannibals, but that's not true. They eat non-halflings, and it's the halflings that eat other halflings are the ones that halflings consider crazy. So it's one of those little things where you can have that be kind of a reputation thing. Oh yeah, they're all cannibals. But it turns out to not be true. It's just that the craziest ones among them are the ones who got met.
Just 1 second. We just had a little... Can you hear me good? Hello? Wow.
Hello?
Okay.
Wow.
I said a little... what you said was clear, but there was in the middle, there was like a little hole. So I just thought, hey, it's time to change the region in this call.
Yeah. Refresh that region. Yeah, exactly.
But
yeah, like you can add so much to a setting by talking about that in a logical manner.
Yeah.
And apocalyptic settings are great for that.
Real good.
That kind of goes hand in hand with my punk apocalypse thing being my favorite part. Oh no. Okay, good. I just heard you.
What? Did it break again?
I thought it broke again. I was like, no.
Oh, okay. God.
Another element, I'll bring this up very quickly. The unlikely warlord. That is very fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, I was a dentist, and now I'm in charge of all these people. Like, stuff like that. It's so fun. It's so fun. And it really serves the power fantasy thing, too, of, hey, my life sucks in real life. I'm not going to refer to what Nura did for work today. Again, I'm going to instead refer to the dentist. I had to put in several fillings and several crowns, and then the world ended. Like, here I am now, and now I'm in charge of all the people from my block who survived. That's got so much to it that you can do with it right away.
Yeah. I guess just there's infinite possibilities with it, and in the best way. That's why it works. That's why it's nice. I think that's the bottom line we can come to here, can't we? Is that like I don't know if there's much more we should be saying, because I think we might be starting to repeat ourselves.
We are a little bit. Well, I will say in conclusion, that's why we don't need to know the full story of Mad Max, Max and Mad Max, because it doesn't matter.
Yes. Fuck yes.
Mm-hmm.
Was there another thing I wanted to talk about in terms of news?
That was the big one that they
Yeah.
were like,
Oh!
put Bastions in.
Let's end on a good note, right?
Good note, good note, good note.
Is this the one? Modifius?
Yes! This is the perfect note to add on.
Sorry, I'm trying to find the link. Is it? I know we have it in our. I misread Kickstarter. No wonder I didn't find it. Okay, here we go. So, after GURPS failed at doing it good, we have a Kickstarter for a Discworld TTRPG done by Modifius. And this one, I mean, they want 120k. They got 12 times that so far. It's still 2 weeks to go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying support this, to be clear.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying it is a wonder that no one tried their hand at this earlier, because Discworld really is a very good setting.
It is.
And Modifius, I think, will do it justice. They have the good artist, or they are at least using the good art from that artist.
Yes. Oh god, that's good art.
Oh my god. Oh god, we're not loading this whole page. No, I am. Is this just like?
They unlocked the luck tokens. Yes, they're basically the token systems that they use in other 2D20 games will be here.
Yeah. If you like Modifius games, this is probably a big buy. And even if you there's an update, we wanted the campaign. You fools! Why would you go to the comments? If you haven't ever read/experienced the Discworld novels, Trek and I both say change that about yourself. They are amazing. If there's one thing
you want to change about yourself, that's it. Like, that's the one.
Yes. And again, not saying necessarily get into this, but I'm hoping this goes big, because Discworld, so many people like Discworld. And if they can just make it into an interesting thing to experience, then this might go far. This might be a big one for Modifius, and I hope it is.
Okay, I want to live in the alternate universe that might be formed where this becomes their tentpole instead of Conan. Yeah. That would be a fun universe.
Do they have a wait, what's the median number of money they gave? Like, we can math that out, right? So, because I'm curious what the value proposition is on this Kickstarter. So we have 1.557 million euros.
Yeah.
7466. Okay, it just went up. I'm gonna use the number I just piped in. Divided by 9,300. It was 45 when I looked, so let's go. So the average person here, this is Kickstarter. This is for the people who have money, right? Spent $166 to euros, sorry, to, I guess, get something in between the Duke and the Blackboard monitor set, which is like, this is what is this, more dice, art book stuff, whatever this thing is.
300 is the everything tier. Yeah.
And then I get it signed for 50 extra. Okay, yeah. So people really want this, and even okay, this is British pounds as well, so it's like a bit more. So I'm guessing most people went for the Duke edition. It's more or less where we are, Duke or Commander, because I'm not going to do the pound conversion here. Point is, you can get this game all in one to play for half the price of a D&D book set. And yeah, sure, it won't be out immediately because this is again a Kickstarter, but it's Modifius. They're going to deliver on this. Easy.
Deliver on it. Yeah, that's the big thing also to keep in mind is just like, so you know how we talk about, they screwed up this with the deck of many things, they screwed up that with the other book, blah, 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 blah. As far as I know, Modiphius hasn't had we screwed up the delivery of this. We're very sorry. They don't do that. Unlike other companies. The other thing is that in Freedom dollars, that's $180. So like the average backer was $180, which
is still 30 shy of the D&D books.
Yeah.
If you get all three.
Which, holy cow! Like
so. Also, it comes out in like a year, less than a year.
Yeah.
By their planned schedule. And it's Modiphius, they know their fucking schedules. So yeah.
And they deliver, yeah. And a year, that's the average turnaround of a Modiphius Kickstarter, by the way, for people who don't know about these things. Typically, they do a Kickstarter, they last a month, and then they deliver on it within 1 year.
Oh, VTT tokens, look.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you can just have those.
You just have them. Like, that's another thing is that they do value adds like this too, where it's just like, nah, just have them.
Yeah.
Oh, I had something else I was going to say. Oh, this is kind of dark, but also uplifting at the same time. So everybody knows I've worked at a hospital before. I worked in dietary nutrition, which meant I fed patients, blah, blah, blah. One of the wings that I often worked was oncology. I worked with cancer patients who were like part-time or long-time stays, etc. And there was somebody, I can't give details about them, blah, 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 bound by confidentiality, but I can tell you one thing is they had a very bad form of cancer, and I don't remember how long it was they had to live. And they just bluntly asked me one day, what's a series of books that I could read that isn't like this stupid Twilight crap? Like, that's how they phrased it to me. And I said, how about Discworld? And I said, oh, could you get like one of them for me to read? And I just brought them a copy of Weird Sisters.
Nice.
And they read all of them. They read all of them, and they eventually got out of the hospital. They weren't the day that they were supposed to die didn't come up. They outlived it. And as far as I know, they're still a Discworld fan today.
Nice.
And I'm not saying Discworld cured them. I'm saying Discworld played a role in making their life more bearable.
Yeah, you heard it here first, folks. Discord makes you immune to cancer.
It's the anti-cancer. That's how good Discworld is.
Like, it is not an overstatement to say that the Discworld novels like also changed my life for the better, because it really showed me that fiction can be deep and funny and interesting and so many things all at once.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I don't know. I think you summed it up perfectly, and I summed it up perfectly. It's always worth. I know that when this does come out, we will review it. Yeah,
we will have to next year.
That will be our big final. That will be our big not final. Our big Discworld stream.
And we're at 1.296 million pounds, because this is in pounds, because Modiphius, I believe, is in Britain, yeah.
Yeah, Modiphius is British,
yeah. Well, never let it be said that the Brits didn't do anything for us.
Yeah, Terry Pratchett did so much. Hats off to him, seriously.
Yes. Yeah, like, fuck yeah, awesome. Real home run with this. This hopefully will be good. Look forward to the review next year.
Yeah, it will happen.
It's maybe our longest video yet then. And again, why would you play T&D if you can have this soon? I guess
that's a big thing right there. It's just like, what stories can you tell in D&D, and then what stories can you tell in this? You can tell way more stories than this, honestly.
Yeah, and okay, you could be like, but you can't play this now. It's not out. You're correct, but you don't have to buy a new D&D product to play D&D, do you?
Yeah, go read the Discworld novels first.
Yeah, take your time with that. Probably going to take till August anyway.
It's probably going to take you a year.
That's a lot of books. Yeah, that's where we are. That's what we're going to end on. This is good. This is I like. There's lots of good stuff coming. The Monty Python book is also coming out soon.
Yeah.
There's lots of good games that you should be playing. And yeah, I think that's it from us. Do we have parting words?
Yes, I have to address Thunder directly.
Oh.
Shadowrun Miami will feature the Muscle Room as one of the options for custom lifestyle, so you don't have to play D&D. You can also purchase the Muscle Room for your Lancer. So
in Shadowrun, it makes so much sense why they only get 2 rooms. Because they only bought a medium lifestyle. If you want a better lifestyle,
yes,
yes, because you pay for your fucking living expenses in Shadowrun.
Yes. Oh my god. I never thought about that, but you're so right. Incidentally, I wrote in that Valkyries should have increased lifestyle costs because they need more room for their wings. And I thought, oh my god, that's funny. But I was like, no, that's actually pretty real.
Oh no. Who am I rating? Let's Renako just started streaming.
Yeah, Renako, I think, just started. Want to say yes?
Let me check that out. What is this game?
And then I glanced over and oh my god, Soviet Womble is actually playing Baldur's Gate 3. What world am I living in?
The fuck is Rivals of Aether?
I don't know. I think that's a steampunk game, isn't it?
No. I see animals fight. Oh, it's the fight. I know this. This is the animal fighting game. It's like
it's animal fighting game.
Okay. Smash Bros, but not Smash Bros.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's not gay enough for me.
Let's give it to Renako. Folks, I'm back tomorrow with Helldivers, also featuring Renako. And on Friday is Garbage Day with Bruce. Yes, we're taking 1 week off from Fabula due to Halloween. On Saturday, watch along. And on Sunday, a certain Burmester birthday. That's my week. What do you have planned, Drake, for yours?
I'm going to stream tomorrow. I'll probably be a narrative game finally.
Nice.
Because people keep asking me to.
You have an idea which one you want to do?
I don't know at the moment.
Okay.
I will surprise everybody.
Surprises. Nice. Okay. I'm going to eat us, and I will see you all tomorrow or soon or whenever. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Be nice to Renako.
Be very nice.
Okay.